The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
A new rock bottom, we think, for the New York Jets. After yesterday's debacle, where do we go from here? We'll talk with Joe Benigno in his weekly spot on the show. It is the Jake Asman Show, and it starts right now.
Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for spending part of your Monday with us. It is Veterans Day, so a big thank you, of course, to all the veterans out there for doing what they do to make our country our country. Thank you to all the subscribers. We hit over 40,000 last week, and if you're going to check out on the season, I don't blame you, but please subscribe to the channel before you do so. Joining us right now in his weekly spot on the show is the great Joe Benigno, the host of the Oh the Pain podcast. Joe, the floor is yours.
Well, before we start, my two cats have somehow gotten downstairs, or at least one of them is. So they're both down here. What a disaster.
I'm watching them.
Yeah, my wife is watching them, so hopefully we can get them back upstairs. Bro, what can I say? Just an absolute disgrace. This is as bad as it gets. And I want to say this before we even start to look at anything in this game. I think Sauce Gardner just missed another tackle. By the way, to me, that play yesterday with Sauce Gardner missing that tackle on that tight end, whoever it was the absolute, that is the poster child for what this freaking football team is. I am sick and tired of Sauce Gardner. He's so goddamn overrated. The guy never gets an interception. I don't want to hear how good his cover skills are. He couldn't tackle me, okay? That was a third down stop, 5 yards short, and this bastard could not make the goddamn play. I am so sick and tired of this football team. You talk about a team not ready to play football yesterday. I mean, that was beyond. Bro, that was above and beyond. The defense stinks. I mean, let's be honest. And I know the Cardinals are a nice team. Kyler Murray's a real good quarterback and all of that. But this wasn't Air Coryell that they were playing yesterday. I didn't see Kellen Winslow, Dan Fouts, and John Jefferson out there. All right? And they did anything they wanted against this crummy defense. They stink, bro. There's no other way to say it. And look, I just said this on my podcast. Desperate times call for desperate measures. It's time after this Colt game, whatever happens on Sunday, thank God they flexed out of that game to a 1:00 game. Okay, thank God for that. But after this Colt game on Sunday, the bye comes up. If I'm Woody, he's tried everything else now. He fired Salah. He brought in Adams. He brought in Reddick, finally came here, and all of this. I bring Rex in to be the coach of this team at the bye. He wants it. I don't want to hear about Mike Vrabel. I don't want to hear about Aaron Glenn. I don't want to hear about this guy Johnson, whatever his name is, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. I don't want to hear about it. You want to straighten this freaking team out? Bring the old sheriff back in town. We got the sheriff, the old sheriff back in town and coming into the White House. Now it's time to bring the old sheriff back in town to run our goddamn crappy football team. Because I have had it, bro. I have had it watching this absolute garbage we watched yesterday. All right? And the offense was terrible too. God forbid that they could put the damn ball in the end zone. God forbid. Devontae Adams was a no-show, right? Obviously Rodgers did not play well, but we could go on and on. This was. How do you come off the Houston game and give us the performance that they gave us yesterday? Give me the answer to that, because it is an absolute goddamn disgrace. And how much more can we take, Jake? Jake, how much more? I'm telling you, I'd fire Joe Douglas tomorrow. How about this? This is the ultimate indignity for our football team. I watched the Washington-Pittsburgh game, which was a tremendous game between two real football teams, okay? If you watched that game, thank God I watched that because I got to see a real game yesterday, okay? Great, tremendous game. And who catches the game-winning touchdown for the Steelers? Well, of course, it was Mike Williams. He can't play for us. Let's dump him for a goddamn 5th-round draft choice. All right? And he catches the game-winning touchdown from Russell Wilson, who has now found the fountain of youth, now that he is now with Mike Tomlin and the best organization in the NFL in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It is.
Mike Williams, let me just say that Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick, bro. We got no third receiver because Lazard's hurt. You got this stiff freaking, what's his name, Gibson. He can't play wide receiver. You got the other guy, Corley, Mr. Drop the ball on the 2-yard line. He's out there being the third receiver. What a joke. You knew right then when Mike Williams caught that touchdown, you knew the Jets were dead. You knew. No, I'm serious. You knew they weren't winning. I fired Joe Douglas and his fat ass out of here now. Get him out. Get him the hell out of here. He stinks too. We want to thank Joe. Joe, thank you so much for Mekhi Becton, for Denzel Mims, for Zach Wilson, for getting rid of John Franklin Myers, for getting rid of Bryce Huff. You know what, bro? I am so goddamn fed up with this franchise. It is time, desperate times call for desperate measures. And the one guy that maybe can straighten our team out, because who the hell else wants to come here and coach this mess? Tell me who that is. Tell me who that is, bro. You got Aaron Rodgers probably for one more year, and he hasn't been great, as we know. One more year of Rodgers, maybe. And then who's our quarterback? Where do we go from there, right? We're going to probably wind up winning 6 games, maybe something like that. So the draft pick is, because there's a lot of bad teams in the league right now. Just look at the freaking, all you got to do is look across the, look in East Rutherford and look at the Giants and how bad they are. What a disaster that was yesterday. They had the way they lost to the crummy Panthers. There's a lot of bad teams in this league that are going to have worse records than us. So we're not going to get a chance to draft a Cam Ward or a Shadir Sanders or somebody like that. We ain't getting those kind of guys. Quinn Ewers from Texas, if you like him. We ain't going to get those kind of guys because we're not going to pick high enough. I'm telling you, desperate times call for desperate measures. I want Rex Ryan back here. He wants the job. He'd come in with a chip on his shoulder, and we'll worry about who the new GM is going to be. I am sick and tired of the crap that we have been subjected to. 56 years without a Super Bowl appearance, 14 years without a playoff appearance, 9 years without a winning season. I have had enough. One crappy coach after another. Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, Robert Saleh, and I don't even want to put Ulbrich in there because Ulbrich, Ulbrich didn't want this job. He woke up one day after they came back from London and basically, Woody said, "You're the coach." So it wasn't like, he was lobbying to be the head coach. What a goddamn disgrace, bro. I have no other way to say it. I'm beyond fed up. That was a disaster. That was as bad as it gets yesterday.
No doubt. You said a lot there, Joe, but specifically with Rex, right? He said that he would absolutely take the job. I listened to him on ESPN New York this morning on DiPietro and Rothenberg and say that. But he's also said he would never do it on an interim basis. He has no interest in that.
No, he has to be the coach. No, if they give him the job, it's his job. That's it. You give him a contract. You give him a long-term contract. You bring him in to try to at least get a semblance of stability or, accountability at least for this team the rest of the year. And then what you do, you give him a long-term contract, at least a couple, 2-year deal, whatever you want to give him. You let him bring his people in here next year, and that's what you do. That's it. That's it. I mean, I don't know what's left to do. I don't know if anybody of these guys, who the hell wants to come here, bro?
But don't you want to hire a GM first and let that GM find a guy?
No, because bring Tannenbaum back. Bring Tannenbaum. Let Rex make the personnel decisions right now. Could it be worse? Seriously.
No, it definitely can't be worse. And I like Rex. I just think he hasn't coached in the NFL since 2014 or with the Jets since 2014. He hasn't coached in the NFL since the Buffalo disaster there in 2016. I just feel like that's such a Jet thing to do, to go back to the past. And the last couple of years with Rex, some of the things that we criticized Saleh for, the penalties, being too defensive-minded. I'm not anti-Rex like some in this fan base are, but I would need to know who his coaching staff is. I would need to know what the plan is at quarterback, who the offensive coordinator is going to be. There's just too many questions right now for me to just say get Rex no matter what. I think they need a GM, and then that GM needs to work with whoever they want to bring in to be the next head coach.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm tired of these guys coming in that don't get the job done. I mean, I saw a guy that actually did something, actually wants the job. I'm sorry. And, this idea that he hasn't coached in a while, how many years did Dick Vermeil, Dick Vermeil coached the Eagles. He left because he got burned out. How many years was it between Dick Vermeil in Philadelphia and then going to the Rams and winning the Super Bowl? It was a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that Rex couldn't come back and get the job done, I don't buy it. And he wants it. And that's the bottom line. And he's got something to prove here now. He come in here with a chip on his shoulder, Like I said, you bring him in now to try to, straighten the mess out. And then at the end of the year, you go from there. You bring the new GM in because we can't take it anymore, bro. I can't take it anymore. It's been an absolute disgrace, okay? And I like Woody Johnson as a person. Obviously there's things that I'm certainly aligned with him that have nothing to do with football. But as far as him being a owner, he's been terrible. He's been terrible. He made a mistake getting rid of Salah when he did, even though we kind of figured this was going to happen. He made a mistake. He should have either got rid of Salah at the end of last year, or he should have let Salah be the coach the rest of the year and then dumped him after the season. That's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm livid. And one more thing, too, I want to say. Not that this mattered in the game, okay? Okay. The officiating in the NFL is an absolute disgrace. And even though we weren't winning this game yesterday, they hosed us on 2 fumble recoveries yesterday. 2. That first one where Murray fumbled the snap, the Jets recovered, okay? The officials didn't know what the hell they were doing. And then the referee, whoever he was, another stiff, turns around and says, oh, it wasn't a legal snap. What do you mean it wasn't illegal? What the hell was it? And even Gene Steratore, okay, who, has been stealing money for a long time now as the rules analyst on NBC, who steals money more than him, okay? Even freaking Gene Steratore said the play should have been all right. How was that not a fumble? Not that it would have mattered, but that wasn't a fumble with the Jets recovering? What? And then later on in the game, there was another fumble. I think it was James Conner that fumbled, okay? I think it was Conner that fumbled. And the Jets recovered, and they said, no, down by contact. Ulbrich had the challenge flag out. No, you can't challenge it because it was down by contact. What do you mean? He wasn't even down. He was on whoever the Jet defender was. He was on top of him. I mean, come on. Look, it's bad enough that we suck, okay? It's bad enough that this franchise is a piece of crap, which that's what it is. And then we got the officials sticking it up our ass too. I am livid today with this franchise.
Yeah.
Livid.
I mean, Joe, it is as bad as it's ever been. And we've done this conversation the last couple of weeks. And there was a quick, break for 10 days after the Fugazi great second half they played against Houston.
Fugazi,
but
right.
we have seen this so many times from this team. It's a joke they were a favorite. I mean, you knew extra time to prepare off a big win, playing a team on the West Coast. It is set up for a Jet disaster. And even for Jet standards, Joe, I never thought it'd be this bad. I didn't think the Jets were going to win yesterday. I picked against them. I bet the Cardinals. Right. I saw the
by the way, Jake, how were they favored in this game? They were favored.
And they're favored again this week. 3.5-point favorites against the Colts. It never ends.
How are we constantly favored in these games? I mean, what is Las Vegas seeing? I mean, are you blind? And I got a lot of respect for those guys because they're usually dead on with their spreads. Well, how will we continually be favorites in these games? We suck.
It's amazing. And just, you knew this game was going to be one of those Jet disasters. The opening drive, they go right down the field. And then, the Jets offensively had a nice drive till they got to the red zone. They don't score. And I don't know about you. You've seen this your whole life. You smelt 14-3 coming right there. And then the route was on. They were never in this game. They never even gave you the illusion they can mount some sort of fake comeback like they typically do. We didn't even get that. And all you need to know about this team and the players on this team and the coaching staff on this team, that in a must-win game with your season on the line, when you got help from the Bengals losing, you got help with the Colts losing, you got the help you need even with Denver somehow not winning that game and blowing it yesterday to KC, you'd be a game out of a playoff spot if you won yesterday. Not only didn't you win, I mean, you put forth one of the most embarrassing performances ever. Joe, they missed 20 tackles yesterday.
Is that what the number was? 20?
Which is the most amount of missed tackles in a game this season. I mean, there are disgraceful Jet performances, and then there's this. This is a new low of ineptitude for this franchise.
Yeah, well, like I said, the poster look for this game was the missed tackle by Gardner on that tight end. That was unbelievable. I mean, you can't say enough bad things about that. I mean, bro. I mean, this franchise is a disgrace. I mean, there's no other way to say it. How do we end this? That's why I'm saying desperate times call for desperate measures. Where else are we going? What are you going to do at the end of the year? Get rid of everybody because they're all going to be gone. Okay, yep. If we just play the year out as it is now, everybody's going to be gone. Douglas is going to be gone. Everybody's going to be gone. And what are you going to do? Bring in a whole new staff? You're going to bring in some coordinator that's never done it before?
Well, I do think it has to be someone. It's either like, you could look at the Ben Johnson type, fine, great offensive guy. You could try that because they never try, the offensive coordinator.
They did have Adam Gase. That didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, or you bring in someone. I agree with your thought process as far as experience goes, right? I mean, I think you make calls for sure to Rex, give him an interview. No problem with that. Mike Vrabel's out there. If the Browns were dumb enough, in my opinion, to fire Kevin Stefanski, I'd love him as an offensive guy too, with experience. Even John Gruden, I'm calling him up. I know he's suing the NFL, but if I'm Woody, I'm getting on the phone with Goodell today and being like, what has to happen?
Brian Flores, who I wouldn't mind having beaten head coach either, by the way. Okay, I would take him as well. Brian Flores sued the NFL also, and he's back in the league as a defensive coordinator. Where is he? Minnesota? Is that where he is? Where is he?
He's the Vikings DC, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, so this idea that Gruden was blackballed too. Come on. It's more than just him suing the NFL. They stuck it up his rear end.
Right.
Too.
But I'm trying to get someone with experience because I'm tired of these guys learning on the job. And despite how bad it is, right? Maybe we overrated some of this talent. Fine. They should not be 3-7 with the talent that is on this team. So to me, they cannot be bringing in this like novice head coach that we have no idea about. They need someone who's done it before, who could be similar. It's not going to be the same, but similar to what Parcells represented when they were 1-15, and then they turned it around very quickly in '97, having a winning record. They need someone that's done it before to fix the ineptitude that we're watching week in, week out from this team. It's like the entire core is rotten right now in that building.
Yeah, there's no other way to say it. I mean, the entire core is rotten, And look, it starts with the defense, which is absolutely abysmal. And obviously, Rodgers has not played well. I mean, what some of these plays, I mean, you talk about being on a wrong page with Devontae Adams. He's throwing these passes that Adams is going this way, and he's throwing the ball that way. What is that? What are we doing here? And I'm telling you, outside of Garrett Wilson, the great draft, and I understand Jermaine Johnson is out for the year, so don't put him in this. But outside of Garrett Wilson, who's a tremendous player, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Sauce, can you be more overrated than him? Even Breece Hall, what the hell is he doing? What is he doing? I mean, has he been anything great? No. So I'm beyond disgusted anymore, bro. There's no other way to say it. Beyond disgusted with this franchise. I'm 71 years old. It's 56 years without a Super Bowl. I was 15 when they won it. Now I'm 71. We haven't even sniffed one since. I am so goddamn disgusted. Watching that yesterday. I mean, how do you show up with that kind of performance? I mean, that is, like I said, the Cardinals are a nice team. They're a good team. They're a team on the rise. They got a top quarterback and all of that. But this was not, one of the great offenses. This was not Tom Brady and the 2007 almost undefeated Patriots, who were basically blowing everybody out the door, with Randy Moss and Gronkowski and those guys. This is not the same team. The Cardinals are a nice team, but to absolutely do whatever they wanted on offense yesterday, come on, you got to be kidding me. Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable.
It's never been this bleak. And then you're watching the game yesterday, Joe, and how many times have we seen this now over the years? Longest active playoff droughts. Yeah. Denver looks like they're about to make the playoffs. And by the way, 2015 they won the Super Bowl, so I would gladly make that trade. Atlanta looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. It's just going to be the Jets and the Panthers, and a 7-year difference in droughts here. Yep. And here's my big thing, Joe. If it wasn't going to happen this year, after they won 7 a year ago without any quarterback, this year with Rodgers, we're thinking at the bare minimum, this is at least, a 9-10 win team, and they should at least be a wild card team. If it's not going to happen this year, when is it going to happen right now? There's no path to it, given how bleak it is with this team.
There's no path. There's no future quarterback. We got nobody on this roster. This kid, Travis, they drafted from Florida State. Who knows what, if he ever is going to be anything, probably not. There's nothing. I mean, where are we right now? Even as bad as the Giants are, again, what a disaster they had yesterday, even as bad as they are, I really believe that their regime right now will get to draft their own quarterback. You know what I mean? They'll get to draft their own quarterback. Daniel Jones is gone after this year with the Giants. Even as bad as they are, you'll get that. I mean, this team is nowhere. We got a 40-year-old quarterback who's on the downside of his career, okay? We got a ton of overrated players. I'll tell you, nobody talks about this, okay? The injury to C.J. Mosley has been huge, okay? C.J. Mosley, I think his career is over. I mean, he's got a bad neck. I don't know if he's ever going to play again. I really believe that. And they have clearly missed him on that defense. And I don't know if that would, make that much of a difference, but they have certainly missed him on this defense.
They're soft. They're soft. They missed that, that intensity he brings. He's good in the run game. It's just, it's crazy to me how bad it has gotten for this defense, because while they were not the same unit pre-Robert Saleh being fired, obviously Ulbrich being the head coach in DC has had a hugely negative impact on the defense. The first thing I would do this week if I'm Ulbrich is give someone else the defensive play calling and allow someone else to do it, because he's clearly stretched too thin. I mean, they were not as great as they had been the first 5 weeks with Saleh, but I mean, it is night and day how much worse this defense has been since Ulbrich became the head coach, Joe.
Well, they can't stop the run. I mean, they couldn't stop the run all year. The defensive line, like I said, is not the same with the guys they let go. Mosley not playing is a big factor. And the secondary has gone backwards. Sauce Gardner has had a miserable year, okay? Let's start with him. He has had a freaking miserable year. And then you got the injuries. Michael Carter was out for a while. He's done nothing since he came back. Their safeties are hurt. You're playing guys like Ashton Davis, who stinks. You're playing that guy Mills, whoever he is. These are the guys that are playing. I mean, what is there to say? And I understand the kicking game hurt them earlier in the year. We know that. But, I mean, yesterday is just unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. How much more can we take with we got such a great fan base. We have suffered so much, our fans, over the years. I mean, how much more can we take? Woody, I mean, come on. You got to do something here. And he's not selling the team. I mean, this idea that Woody's selling the team is not happening. So stop, humoring yourself, Jet fans, with the idea that this guy's selling the team, because he's not going to do it. But somehow, some way, we got to straighten this mess out. And I'm telling you, I would bring Rex back. I really, really would. You could call me insane, all right? I know a lot of people don't like him, but God, the last time we had competent coaching here was Rex Ryan. And I would bring him back. I really would, soon, like next week.
I mean, I wish they could like just do it for entertainment value alone. At least these next 7 games with Rex would be more watchable.
That's the other thing, bro. We got 7 more games,
right? But there's nothing they could do in season at this point. Like, they already made the move. They fired Saleh. They traded for Devontae. They got Reddick back. Woody pressed every button he could press in season. He made his bed. Now we as Jet fans are going to be lying in it for the next 7 games until we figure out who the next GM and coach is, because Douglas is a dead man walking. That press conference last week, he sounded like a guy who knows he's getting fired at the end of the year. He's done.
Douglas, get him out of here. I'm tired of Douglas. What's his record? 29-70 as GM?
20-63 and 30-63. And how about this for a stat show? Joe Douglas now has a worse winning percentage than John Izek and Mike McCagnon. He's going to get 100 games as the Jets general manager, and he is not going to sniff a playoff spot. By accident, you see teams
How
make
about
the
a
playoffs.
winning season? Never mind a playoff spot, bro. How about a freaking winning season? Come on.
It's unreal. And think about this too, right? Everyone talks about how great the 2022 Jet draft class is, and that's the thing you point to with Joe Douglas. Look at the teams in the top 5 that year, right? Jacksonville, as bad as they might be this year, they won a playoff game a few years ago. The Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL. They picked second that year. They're in the NFC title game a year ago.
I think they're the best team in the NFL, if you ask me.
Right.
How about the way Kansas City won yesterday? Block a field goal to win the goddamn game.
Unreal. Which helped the Jets if they could just get out of their own way. And then the third pick that year, Houston. Last year, they win a playoff game out of nowhere, win that division, right? The Jets picked 4th. They haven't slipped the playoffs. Even the Giants, as bad as it's been, at least the Giants gave their fans 2 years ago a playoff season. They won a playoff game. So of the teams in the top 5, only the Jets have come nowhere near the playoffs. All the other teams that year in this historic draft for the Jets, they all won playoff games, and this team hasn't made the playoffs, hasn't sniffed it since 2010. Like, it's never been this bad for this franchise.
No, never. No, this is as bad. Look, I've been there since 1965. This is as bad as it's ever been, bro. We are as low as we could possibly be. And when you factor in what kind of year this was supposed to be with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, you can make a case this is on its way to being the worst season we have ever had.
Yep.
I mean, you could make that, you could, considering the expectation level, we're on our way to that without a doubt.
It's unreal. We're talking with Joe Benigno in his weekly spot. The Oh the Pain podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. If you're tuned in live right now, click the like button. It helps support the channel. And if you're one of the 1,600 people watching live and you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do so. Joe, at least you and I got a chance to see the high of the Jet season together.
Right. That was about it. Right.
This is it. This is the moment. 2-1, and everything changed after that. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, we should have known, We should have known, bro. I mean, what else can you say? You're right. 2-1. They lost that game to the Broncos. Zerline missed that field goal at the end, and it's just been all downhill since then. That's
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Super chats for Joe are coming in. If you have a comment or question, we will read it. Jimbo says, good morning, gentlemen in the chat. As a UGA/Jet fan this weekend, it was truly awful. Need to tear it down, and the quarterback I want is Jackson Dart. Appreciate you, too. Look, I haven't even begun to think about which quarterbacks they should go after, but I think there's no doubt, even if Rodgers is here next year, they should absolutely be drafting someone in the first round. That guy could sit behind Aaron, and Jordan Travis is there too. Who knows what he is like? This year was all about trying to win now. Now it's got to be about, all right, Aaron, you're here because you're under contract, fine, but we're no longer making all these moves to try and win now with a 41-year-old quarterback.
Yeah. Jackson Dart's a nice player at Ole Miss. I mean, obviously a real good game as they beat Georgia on Saturday. Georgia's not the same team anymore. Let's be honest. I mean, I know they were number 3 in the country. They got that big win over Texas, but they're not the team that they've been. They're not the dominant team that they've been for the last how many years under Kirby Smart. To me, the best quarterback in the country is Cam Ward out of Miami. Now they lost a tough game. They lost to Georgia Tech on Saturday. And I love Sanders' kid, Shadir Sanders at Colorado. I like him too. I really do. They got to get a young quarterback, and they got to get the right one. I mean, that's it. I mean, you drafting a young quarterback is one thing. Drafting the right young quarterback is another thing.
That's it. And here's my thing too, Joe. And we've seen this. We continue to be sold by the powers that be with the Jets. We're rebuilding. It takes time. This or that. It really doesn't. Houston was a joke. I was down there for 6 years on the radio every day. They were a joke. They had a pastor running the organization. All of a sudden, they bring in DeMeco Ryans. They hit on Stroud. They're in the playoffs. We saw what's happened with the Lions here. We saw the Browns make the playoffs a year ago. If you get the right coach with the right quarterback, it doesn't need to take 6 years. It could turn around, and there is some talent on the team. It's just you have no faith in the owner hiring the right people, and that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. And you hit it on it. It starts with getting the right coach, and then you got to have a quarterback. That's it. That's the winning formula in the National Football League. Get the right coach in there, and then, get the right quarterback in there. And that's how you win. And the Jets right now, they have none of that. You want to tell me Rodgers is the right quarterback? I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, it's a lot more than Rodgers is not. We could kill Rodgers all we want, okay? And he obviously hasn't been the savior that we thought he was going to be. But there's a lot more wrong with this team than Aaron Rodgers. Sure. A lot more.
Yeah, and my big thing with Rodgers too, Joe, I wasn't expecting, MVP Aaron Rodgers. He was supposed to have an elite defense, which he doesn't have. He was supposed to have a running game, which consistently he has not had. Special teams alone, if they had Greg Zuerlein from a year ago, they'd have a couple more wins. So Rodgers has not been great, but at the same time, he's better than anything they've had in a long time. Yeah. And that was supposed to be good enough with this team that we thought was way better than it actually is.
Yeah. No doubt about
it. Super chat here from Steph Gaming. Not going to lie, we can't tackle. Might need a defensive head coach. Michael says 7 more weeks of this garbage. Paulie writes in, why would anyone want to go to another game? We work hard to pay for overpriced tickets, and this this is the spectacular performance we see, like it's going to a Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey circus act. I mean, Joe, any Jet season ticket holder that continues to go and spend money when your tickets are worth $15-20 by the time you get to November every year, it's the biggest disgrace in sports.
And then you got the Jets, in October, basically, sending the season ticket holders the voucher that they want to get paid now for next year with this crap that they're putting out on the field. I mean, that just makes it even worse. Who the hell would want to renew their tickets with the crap that they're watching right now? Tell me who that is.
You have no idea who the quarterback is next year, who the head coach is, or who the GM is next year. Yet the Jets want your money in October for season tickets.
That's right. Unbelievable.
Wrong verb. Eccles leads the team with 2 picks. Rest of the team is tied for second with 0. I mean, that's another thing. Like this team never, ever comes up with enough turnovers to win games, especially the interceptions.
Never. Absolutely never. It's a joke. You never get a pick six. There's never a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Now, they did recover 2 fumbles yesterday, and they got hosed on both of them. I mean, I will say that. I mean, that play with the do-over snap, the illegal
I've never
snap.
seen that. I've never seen that. And there's no clarity on it. There's no accountability. There's no transparency on what they called. No one knew.
Right. And then the announcers, and by the way, the minute I saw Spiro Ditas was doing the game, you knew they were done. I mean, anytime Spiro Ditas, and I like Spiro, he's a nice guy, he used to work with me. I'm a fan doing updates before he became a top NFL announcer. Anytime I see Spiro doing a game, I know we're dead. We're dead. And how about him? And how about Spiro calling out the officials with that? What do you mean it was a do-over? Even Sterator said something about it. Archer Luda did allude to it. He did. I got to give him credit. What the hell? See, here's the other problem with the NFL, okay? Roger Goodell, who's the worst commissioner in sports, all he gives a damn about is playing games in Germany and Mexico and Brazil and London and, Beijing and maybe Moscow next. Who knows? All he really cares about is that and making money. He could give a damn about the fans. He could give a damn about the players. Let's be honest about that too. There's going to be an 18-game season at some point, in football. Does he care with these Thursday night games? They don't give a damn about the players. They don't give a damn about the fans. And the officials, are these guys vetted properly? You're in bed. The NFL's in bed with every freaking gambling service there is. DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. ESPN has their own gambling service now. They're in bed with every one of them. How do I know that these officials are not putting money on these games? How do I know that? I don't know that. I don't know it. I wouldn't trust them from here to there. They could change the game at any time, like that call yesterday. What do you mean it was an illegal snap? The play went off fine. What? What are you talking about? What were they weren't looking at the play with their heads up their ass? Is that what it was? Again, it wouldn't have mattered. We lost anyway. We suck. But it's bad enough that we suck, okay? And then we got to get it up our ass from the officials, too. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yep. It's beyond. It's beyond the pale, bro. It's beyond the freaking pale.
The pain, as Joe B would say. 25 says that was a Wilson/Salah or Darnold/Gase-esque game. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that exact game so many times, and to see it with Rodgers at quarterback, it's like Hey,
they were a better team last year with Wilson at quarterback. Yeah. Let's be honest.
They're probably going to win more games last year than they. I mean, they won 7 last year. Is this team winning 7 games?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Probably not.
Unreal. Story Lynn says any path for winning our next 4 games would be 7-7. They mailed it in yesterday. Johnny Manziel said Kyler Murray's the best quarterback in Texas history. I mean, 7-7. I mean, the Jets have shown you they could lose to anybody with how they played. I mean, like their moments of looking competent. They then show you exactly who they are the next week with extra time to prepare. They came out flat as a drum against the Broncos, lose 10-9, then lost 5 in a row. During that losing streak. And then, 9 days to get ready. Your season's on the line. You come out and you get boat race from opening kickoff yesterday. This team is incapable of handling any sort of success. So I'm going to expect them to rattle off a couple wins in a row and get to 7-7. No way.
You can talk about Kyler Murray, and he's very good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know how much credibility Johnny Manziel has. But with that said, Murray's a terrific quarterback. And the defense stinks. But what about our offense? Can they put the ball in the end zone? How about some of the play call? And I forget what the score was. It might have been 24-6, whatever. So we got a 1st and goal on the 6-yard line. They run Braylon Allen for 3 yards. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 3. Can we run the ball again?
Right.
Why are we throwing a pass? And they wind up throwing 3 more passes and they don't score. What are we doing? Give the ball to Allen again, up the goddamn middle. What are you doing? Oh, my God, bro. I tell you, I am, I am beyond livid with this football team. I sat there watching that game numb yesterday. I mean, basically didn't say a word because, what am I going to do? Just get my blood pressure up by screaming? I'm numb now watching this shit. I mean, I really am. I'm sorry I got to swear, but I do. And what else can I say?
It's horrible. I mean, it's just I was like you, Joe. I mean, you go from screaming and yelling watching these games and you just sit there and go like, wow, it's just.
What am I wasting my time for?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
They don't care. They don't care. We as fans care more than the organization, and that's the biggest problem every year.
Bro, I have said this forever, okay? The players are getting paid. They're getting paid big money. You know, the owner's a multi-billionaire, probably, whatever he is. Do you think they really get the fans care? We care. We've suffered through everything, right? The players come and go, the coaches come and go. You know, we can change. I've said it a million times. You can change whatever you want to change there. You know, the fans remain the same, and we keep getting screwed year after year after year. Every year we're like, we got Aaron Rodgers. This is our year. He gets hurt 4 plays into it. Then Rodgers is healthy, and it turns into a disaster anyway. You know, it never changes. You know, our fan base is one of the most loyal fan bases in sports, okay? We love this team. We love them. I've been with this team for 60 years now, okay? And I've gotten nothing. All I've gotten is aggravation. All I've gotten is heartache. All I've gotten is a stick up my ass. And, you know, and they don't care. Like I said, these players come and go, right? They're here for 2 minutes. You know, we had McCole Hardman, right? He stinks for our team. All of a sudden, he goes back to Kansas City. He's catching the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. We let freaking Mike Williams go, right? The next game, he's catching the game-winning touchdown pass for the goddamn Steelers. I can't take it anymore, bro. If Sauce Gardner was gone tomorrow, he'd go somewhere and turn into freaking Darrelle Revis, okay?
He'd go back to what he was last year, first-team All-Pro. It's like how and like another example is too, by the way, they signed Tyron Smith. No one had any issue with that move. He was a second-team All-Pro last year. The concern with him was not can he still play. It's, you know, can he stay healthy? He's been healthy this year, and he's not just bad. He's horrible. And it's like
he didn't even finish the game. He didn't finish the game yesterday. Fassanu finished the game at left tackle yesterday.
Olu Fassanu should be starting every game at left tackle going forward.
There is no question about that. Fassanu should be the left tackle the rest of the year. 100%.
Unreal. Snoopy says, stop blaming players for quitting on the Ringling Brothers all-star front office we have. They're actually the smart one here, not us fans. I mean, the entire organization needs to be fumigated. It's just it's that bad. Yep. Rob says, we didn't want to admit it, but the Rodgers era ended on September 11th, 2023. There was no way it was going to work after that. I mean, I guess we'll never know, but obviously this year, in theory, maybe could have happened last year, and then they could have made changes to the coaching staff, got a real coach in for this year, but everyone got a mulligan after what happened 4 plays in a year ago, and looking back on it, that might have been the death sentence at the time. We just didn't know it.
What happened last year with Rodgers could only happen to one franchise, and that's ours.
Yep.
Only one. Nobody else could that happen to.
Mike says the Jets are where hopes and dreams and players go to die. Yeah. I mean,
they go to die, and then when they go somewhere else, they wind
revived again.
They wind up being all pro after that.
JJ says Dion and Shador or Vrabel. John Gruden was bad with the Raiders, and Rex was bad after the AFC runs with 2 teams. Get Dion before he goes to the Raiders. I mean, Deion Sanders at head coach. He's never done it before. I don't know if I want to try that.
You could do worse. I mean, you know what? If you told me Dion was the head coach and he brings his son here to be the quarterback, I'm in. Let's go.
You would be in on Dion.
I'm in. Dion will kick their ass here. I believe that.
Well, it worked in New York with Dion and the attention.
Let me tell you something. How you think Dion's going to put up with the crap that Sauce Gardner's doing? The greatest corner of all time. To me, Dion's the greatest cornerback that ever played, okay? I know he didn't tackle anybody, but Dion didn't have to tackle anybody because nobody ever threw at him, and when they did, he was intercepting it and taking it to the house, okay? So to me, Dion is the greatest cover corner of all time. In all due respect to Revis or whoever you want to give me, going back to guys like, Willie Brown, those kind of Mel Blount, those kind of guys, okay? He's the greatest cover corner of all time. If you tell him, I'd take a shot at him. Why not?
Yeah.
Could it be worse, bro? Seriously.
No.
If you put Dion in to be our head coach, I don't think you'd want it. I'm Dion. What the hell would I want to go there? Why would I want to come to this disaster? But I wouldn't be against it. I clearly would not be against that.
Now, my number one guy for coach is Mike Vrabel because I'm tired. Okay. I don't think Mike Vrabel would deal with this nonsense either. He'd hold guys accountable.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the only guy we know that wants it is Rex. That's it.
Yep.
I don't know anybody else that wants it.
But I do think there'll be people who want this job because it's still what Rex said it this morning. He's like, all these jobs are attractive. There's only 32 of them. And you look at some of the openings here. I mean, just pull up the NFL draft order standings right here. I mean, Jacksonville's probably going to have a new coach. The Giants, I don't know if Dable's as locked in as you think, Joe, with the Giants being 2-8, but so that's a possibility. Stefanski and the Browns 2-7. Raiders are probably going to have an opening.
Well, and just looking at this right now, you're seeing all these teams that are worse than we are.
Right.
Which just tells you, that we're not gonna get a top pick in this draft. Right now, you're looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're 8th. Okay, the 8th pick in the draft. You're not getting the number 1 quarterback out there. Now you could still get a top guy. We never know. I mean, look where Lamar Jackson went. Look where Tom Brady was drafted. Okay, Joe Montana was a 3rd round pick, so you could still get it. But I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore, bro. I'm livid.
There's really not much to say. A couple minutes left with Joe here. Gangrene says, I flew across the country to watch this disaster. There were a ton of Jet fans there, Joe.
Golf when you were out. I hope you played some golf when you were in Arizona. I hope you did that.
Man, I know you were going to play golf today. What's wrong? You can't get a tee time, Joe?
We've been trying to get a tee time. I think part of the problem is it's a nice day and the weather's going to start to turn here. And the fact that it's a holiday. And here's the other problem. I got to do at 4:00. I got to do the show with Evan. So
right.
I'm locked in for that. So that kind of prohibits me. If it wasn't for that, I'll go out and play at 2:00, at least get 9 holes in. But, we'll try again, but it doesn't look promising.
New Jersey, the super trucker. I'm sick of getting laughed at when I wear a Jets jersey. And here's the thing with the Jets too, Joe, and you've experienced this. They're never just bad and no one and irrelevant. Like when they're bad, it's always like in spectacular fashion for the entire country to laugh at. Like it just they're always the butt of every joke. It's not like they could just be Jacksonville be bad and no one discusses it.
Yeah. No, I know.
25.
One of the things that's helping them is that the Giants stink too. I mean,
right.
The way the Giants lost yesterday, as I feel bad for the guy Tracy fumbling first snap in overtime. He puts the ball on the ground and it cost him the game. I mean, you kind of feel for the kid there, but
you know what? If they get the first pick, he'll be a hero though for that play.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Well, Jones had a bad. I mean, Jones threw 2 big picks in the red zone in this game too.
How are they still playing Daniel Jones at this point?
Well,
unbelievable.
They're paying him $40 million a year. There you go.
25 says players come to the New York Jets to die and leave to flourish. And
right.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal. Connie Carberg makes a great point here. Remember, they said they worked on a presentation to tackle all last week. First, all that means is they didn't do it the rest of the time from training camp on. Plus, they're not allowed to tackle fully. I mean, I don't know if you saw this comment from Obrick going into the game,
Connie
Joe.
Carberg, the lady who has been instrumental with the franchise for years.
First female scout in NFL history.
Right. Okay. Right.
The great Connie Carberg. And to her point, Obrick made a comment that they had a separate presentation on how to specifically tackle James Conner because he's such a unique runner.
Is that right?
I mean, they had a unique presentation on how to tackle this guy, and then they set an NFL record in a game this season with 20 missed tackles. Only the Jets has this happened to.
Unbelievable. But a Sauce Gardner play should be that they should make a poster of that play because to me, that is emblematic of this season for our franchise. That missed tackle by Sauce Gardner tells you all you need to know about the state of the New York Jets right now. It really, to me, that's the play of the year so far. That tells the story. It really does.
So, Joe, to reset here as we wrap, if it was up to you, Rex is your number 1 guy for this team's next head coach.
Yes, absolutely. I take a shot. Let's bring the sheriff back. Let's get the sheriff back in town. Just like the sheriff's coming back to the White House, now it's time for the sheriff to come back and coach the freaking Jets.
And you want Rodgers as the quarterback next year if Rex was the coach?
I think another year. I'm good with another year of Rodgers. But you got to draft a quarterback that's going to develop behind him.
Yep.
If for no other reason, Rodgers comes back, and if he wants, who knows if he's going to want to come back. If for no other reason, if Rodgers comes back, at least I got a young guy to sit behind him for a year. You know what I mean? I do not want my young quarterback playing year 1. Don't want it.
And that's, to me, one of the big problems this franchise has had, right? The last time they actually had a quarterback sit for a couple of years was Chad, and if Chad stayed healthy, they were going to the playoffs every year.
Right. That's right. And look, there's all got. Look, Jaden Daniels obviously has hit the ground running in Washington. He's been phenomenal. There's no question about that. Caleb Williams has been all right. Didn't exactly light it up yesterday against the Patriots, but you never know. I mean, look, we know. I mean, Baker Mayfield's been okay, but I mean, the number 1 pick, we should have signed him. I would be happy if we had him right now. But I mean, and these quarterbacks take time to develop. You get in a run. Look at Sam Darnold all of a sudden. I know he threw 3 picks yesterday, but they found a way to win the game. You look at Geno Smith, and I know they haven't been winning, but, I mean, we go right on down the line, bro.
It's all coaching. All these guys are better coached. They're in better
That's right.
situations. That's the
Right.
biggest problem for this team.
Well, it's coaching and it's also maturity. You know what I mean? It's also learning, you know, by not playing and learning how to play quarterback in the NFL. You know, like I said, there's very few guys that, you know, Daniels is doing that right now, but there's very few guys that hit the ground running and are very good year one as quarterbacks in the NFL. Very few.
This one is from James, because I just wanted to get you to, or James Joe, I just wanted you to get a chance to respond to those who are anti-Rex. Does Joe forget what happened last few years with Rex? Zero input on offense, and his D also never came up with turnovers either.
I get that, but you know what? The really demise of Rex happened when they brought Idzik in. When Tannenbaum got fired and they brought Idzik in, that's when it really went downhill with him. Now, he made mistakes, okay? I don't think Sanchez was ever coached correctly, all right? All right. Obviously, when he put Sanchez into that stupid game against the Giants in preseason and he got hurt, and that's what, you know, got Geno Smith out there. But even the 1 year with Geno Smith, they did go 8-8.
Yeah.
Right. No, to me, I would give him a shot because you're bringing him back with something to prove. Now, let's not forget, you know, you're bringing Rex Ryan back with something to prove. You know what I mean? Give me a guy that's got a chip on his shoulder. And he's got a major chip on his shoulder. And again, where are we anyway? Desperate times call for desperate measures. And to me, that's desperation. And why not? He's done everything else this year. It hasn't worked. Why not do this now? Could it be any worse than it is?
Joe, I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know this. We appreciate you hopping on after every game. I hope you get a tee time today. Hopefully someone could get Joe B and Terry on the golf course.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but, you know, nevertheless, I appreciate it, bro. It's always a pleasure. All the love, my man.
All the love. The great Joe B in his weekly spot on the show. Man, I don't know if it's ever been this bad, Jet fans. And Joe's been watching since 1965, and he's telling you he doesn't think it is. Feels like we've done the is this rock bottom conversation a lot. It's a disgrace. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. We're presented by Underdog Fantasy. We got a Monday night game this evening. Use the Underdog app. Use promo code Asman. Take advantage. Deposit and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Lost with my Underdog pick'em yesterday because Aaron Rodgers only had 150-something passing yards. Just brutal. Nailed the Kyler Murray longest rush being greater than 12.5 yards. Nailed the other prop I had involving total yardage for James Conner. But the Jets jetted yesterday. But today's a new day. Underdog. Download the app. Thanks to Underdog for being a part of our show. Take advantage. If you're a new customer, there's something for everyone. If you're watching the show live right now, hit that subscribe button. We hit over 40,000 subscribers last week. We now know this. It is going to be a wild offseason. It's going to feature a GM search. It is going to feature a head coach search. It is likely going to feature a quarterback search from this standpoint. Even if Rodgers is here, they have to draft someone, I believe. You could say it's a dart throw, but you need to throw the dart to have any chance of hitting. You can't hit a bullseye if you don't attempt to try and get the bullseye. Just brutal, man. Super chat here from John. Curious to know how many season ticket holders are not renewing. Joe B's the best. Thanks for having him on each week. Look, Joe's the consummate fan, right? Now, I disagree with him as far as just hire Rex. You know, no one will take the job. I don't buy that. But I have no issue with interviewing Rex, and I do agree he's got a chip on his shoulder. And, by the way, it would be a lot better with Rex. Rex's defense has made adjustments. Rex's defenses, with this kind of talent, I'd be curious to see what it looks like. My questions with Rex would be, who's on his staff and who's the GM, right? I don't think you hire the coach and then the GM. I think you got to hire the GM first. I think that's part of all this. But one thing is for sure, all right, Joe Douglas is gone. Gone. He cannot be here. He won't be here. He's dead. He's a dead man walking. His only chance at survival was one, either making the playoffs, or two, they would have to go like 8-9 with the arrow trended up so we could go to Woody and say, look, the talent's there. We just need to hire a better coach. Look at our team. They're not going to sniff 8 wins. In fact, I think if you were betting today, does this team win 7 games which is the amount they won last year, you probably would say, no, they don't. That's how bleak and dire this situation currently is. It's brutal, man. And here's the other thing, too, right? We were just talking about this with Joe. Look at the draft order. Look where the Jets are going to end up. They're not going to end up in the top 5. So they're probably going to be picking anywhere from 8 to 11. So you're looking at maybe the third quarterback off the board at that point. I mean, I don't know who that is. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but because you just don't know. But you're not letting Joe Douglas make that pick. No way. You bring in a new GM, new coach. You have the conversation with Rodgers. Do you want to play? If you do, you just know we're likely drafting a quarterback and that guy's going to sit behind you. Because it's no longer about trying to win. All in to win. Like, you're trying to win, but you're also no longer making all the moves around. You got to win end all be all this year. But only the Jets, right? Rebuild it. We never get the build. We never get the build and rebuild. It's always just rebuilding. And then we're sold it takes years and years to build a winning team. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Didn't take the Lions years to turn it around with Campbell. Didn't take the Texans years to turn it around with Debacle. Go up and down the list. The Chargers were a joke with Brandon Staley. They hired Jim Harbaugh. They're 6-3. They're going to be in the playoffs this year. You got to get the coaching hire right. It's coach and quarterback in this league. Unless you're Mike Tomlin, then you can win with any quarterback. But he's going to the Hall of Fame. For every other team in the league, it's coach and quarterback. And look, when they fired Saleh, I wasn't anti that move necessarily. I thought it was too early. I was surprised. But this is clearly a move that, looking back on it, the move to make would have been you fire Hackett first, you let Ober continue to be the DC and Saleh the head coach. Every time we think it can't get worse, somehow it continues to get worse. That's why I'm hesitant to even say it's rock bottom right now. We sure? What if they go out there and get blown out by Joe Flacco at home next week? And I laughed because some of you on this show were calling in talking about a playoff run for this team after they beat the Texans. My response all week was, beat Arizona, because I don't think they're going to. Prove me wrong. Show me. Show me. And you know what the Jets showed us? That they're an ass. That's what they showed us. Playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, a massive super chat has come through from Zach Van Buren. Zach, thank you very much, man. Thank you to everyone who's still watching today. God. I mean, you're still watching. You're a true diehard. I really appreciate your support. Thank you, Zach. Owners can be fired. Ask any soccer fan across the pond. It equals signs and chance, lead to media pressure and humiliation. Remember, this is a vanity project for a billionaire. While this team means everything to us, Woody out. Obviously, if we could press a button that forces Woody Johnson to sell, you'd love it. But he's not going to sell. This team is going to remain in his family. His son continues to be more and more involved. Brick Johnson. That's eventually who's going to be the heir apparent. We know when Woody goes overseas for whatever position the Trump administration gives him, his brother's going to be the acting owner. But here's the thing, too. Woody's not going overseas till February at the earliest. So he's going to be involved in the coaching search. Also, I'm seeing some season ticket holders like Chef Kevin say that you're not allowed to bring signs into MetLife. Here's what you can do, though. You can fly a plane that says sell the team Woody over the practice facility. You can do that. We've seen that with Izzik before. I mean, Woody knows that this fan base despises him. He has to. Look, if this was soccer like they do in Europe, I mean, the Jets would have been relegated, 8 years ago. This is the 14th season in a row this team is not going to make the playoffs. And really, other than 2015, when they won the last game, they were in the playoffs. They haven't sniffed the postseason. Haven't sniffed it. It's just it's horrible. I mean, once again, if we could relegate the Jets, they would have been relegated, 10 years ago. I mean, there should be accountability for the owner. And people could say, oh, don't go to the game, sell your tickets. I don't think people realize how revenue in football works. Most of the money comes from the television contracts. Like, if there were 0 fans in the stands, the Jets would still be one of the more profitable teams in the league. But, Zach, thank you for the super chat. You're right with everything you said. JT, we need to sell shirts like A's fans. But guess what? Did John Fisher sell the A's? No, he didn't. He moved the team to a minor league stadium in Sacramento until they go to Vegas in a few years. That didn't work. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show to subscribe to the Patreon, get in the Discord, and commiserate with us. I'll have info on behind-the-scenes stuff related to the show, start times. When I'm on the radio next, I'll post my November schedule there. I'm on the radio this Sunday on ESPN New York from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. right after Jets Colts. Just $5 a month. Your support allows me to continue to do this full time. So thank you to everyone on Patreon. You get 15% off every item in the merch store. So thanks to your support. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Big shout out to Dan, Malcolm, Debbie, and Kevin for being our 3 most recent Patreon subscribers. JJ says Ben Johnson, primetime, McCarthy, or Vrabel. I mean, McCarthy, no shot, but if you told me they hired the other guys on that list, it wouldn't be the worst. Mike Vrabel's my number 1. Or if the Browns fire Kevin Stefanski, I'm hiring him in 2 seconds. Offensive guy, 2-time coach of the year, has won games of a variety of different quarterbacks. That's the guy. You sell him on a year of Aaron Rodgers, and you're drafting a quarterback. That's what I would do. And by the way, bring in John Dorsey to be the general manager. That guy can pick players. There's a plan. Better than what we currently have. Hard to be worse. And that's the other thing, too, by the way, with the Joe Douglas people. People are saying, oh, you could always have another GM that could set the franchise back. You cannot set the franchise back anymore. Oh, you could go into another, 5 to 10 years of darkness. It's been dark already. It can't get any worse. It's never been this bad. He's 30 and 63 as the general manager. By accident, you can't pick someone that's worse. He has a worse winning percentage now than Izek and McCagnon. So while he's a better GM than those guys, like just watching the moves and comparing the talent he is, it hasn't worked. You could find someone that is better by accident, even if the moves aren't as good. By accident, you might stumble into more wins than the shit we've seen the last 6 years. That's the difference. You tried it with Douglas. He got this year. He got his mulligan year last year. Once Aaron went down, none of it's worked. Now you move on. You're cleaning house. Charlton, I want Aaron Glenn. Glenn should get an interview. I'm weary of the first-time DC getting another job. I really think if you're going to go down that path, it has to be an offense. I want offensive-minded first-time coach, Ben Johnson, number 1. He's not going to take this job, but you try. And then, if you can't get him, someone who's done it. Someone with experience. I'm tired of these guys coming in, learning on the job. No, you need someone with credibility. Parcells was that guy for this franchise in 97. Coaching matters. Vrabel has done it. He won with Ryan Tannehill. Stefanski has done it. He's won with 7 different quarterbacks. Those are my top 2. I'm calling Gruden, too. This idea he was bad with the Raiders. He was 3-2 when he got railroaded by the NFL and got fired. Or resigned, whatever you want to call it. Gruden cares, and he's an offensive-minded guy. And he'd hire a great staff. I mean, desperate time call for desperate measures. Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is open. We will continue to take your super chats as well. That is the best way to reach the show.
If you go to gusbuster.com, you could purchase the best umbrella in the universe. And you could use the promo code Jake to get 15% off on any of your umbrellas.
If you're new to the show, the way to call into the show is to click the link I have in the comments. I will pin the call-in link You click that, it brings you up, and you got a chance to get your voice heard on this program.
Warning! Warning! Allen alert! Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning! Allen alert! Hide the children.
Hey, what's going on, Jake? By the
Hello,
way,
Alan.
being at NRG Stadium last night and watching those Lions fans rejoice. Oh my God, I was so jealous. I really was. That building was really nice. I'll tell you that. It was really nice. And watching a team as their quarterback throws pick after pick after pick after pick after pick, win a game. I mean, they're a team of destiny. Unbelievable to watch that. Couple of things. I mentioned this last week. I was weary of the fact that last Thursday was an aberration. Again, I was hopeful that the trade deadline was a week later, as I mentioned, because right now you're 3-7. You have players you want to deal and you can't, and they're going nowhere. And yesterday was the culmination of a team that just doesn't give a shit anymore. Honestly, I watched that game at a bar yesterday in Houston, and watching Trey McBride swat away Sauce Gardner was maybe the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was hilarious. Okay. And my second point is on Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I didn't watch your show last night, so I don't know if you said this. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I don't even want to come back to this shit. Why even bother? Your legacy is on the line. Why even want to come back? You look old and you look near done. I mean, it's unbelievable how that guy has gone from one of the best throwers of the football to what I see today. If I was him, I would just retire. And if I was the Jets, the best move is for him to just move on. I mean, just start again. It's over. This franchise is going nowhere with Aaron Rodgers. Just, you know what? It's time for the full rebuild. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. Last year was the year, and he got hurt 4 plays into the season. And unfortunately, they weren't able to get the full Aaron Rodgers. Now you're getting a shell of your former self. It's sad to watch. It's really sad to watch. And for the Jets going forward, it's better for them to just move on, separate, and just completely blow up the franchise and start.
He's under contract, though. It's not really like he could come back and play. Like if he says I'll play with whoever the next coach is, like where are you finding a better quarterback than Rodgers for 1 year and then you draft someone? I think that's the only way he's back.
Unfortunately, if you're going to fire JD, which you're going to have to, which coach is going to come here and want to deal with him? I mean, you have to deal with the guy. You have no idea if Aaron's going to call Woody in the middle of the season and say, I don't want to deal with this coach anymore. If
but he doesn't have, he does, but I think we're overplaying or we're overblowing like that power that he has at this point. Like to me, the selling point would be, hey, you get a chance to try and win with the talent that still is on this team. Because I don't think they're 3-7 bad. I think this team with better coaching would have 3 more wins right now. The record could potentially be flipped in a wide open AFC. And then it's, hey, but we're still drafting a quarterback. So you get a chance, if you're an offensive guy, especially, to pick your long-term answer, and he doesn't have to play right away. I actually think it's a decently appealing situation from that standpoint.
But if you listen to Douglas this past week, he sounds like a GM that knows that people are speaking over his head. I truly believe.
Yeah, because he's done a terrible job overall. The record's the record. So that's why. But a new guy coming in, the one thing you can't say about Woody Johnson is that he's not patient with the people he has in place. Like this idea that they just fire people. I mean, Rex got 6 years. Bowles got 4 years. Gase should never even been hired and got 2 years somehow. Saleh got 3 years of a losing season and got to coach into a 4th year. Douglas is finishing out all 6 years of his contract. So, like, you sell the next regime on, hey, you have Aaron if you want him, or you could completely start over. I think you let that new regime decide what they want to do before you do anything else. It's not Aaron's choice. He can retire if he wants, but it's not his choice anymore.
I love Ben Johnson. I keep hearing that he might go to the Bears. I don't think Todd Monken comes back for a second try after he was bypassed for Adam Gase. The name you mentioned makes a lot of sense.
Hold on a second. Well, you don't think Todd Monken would take a head coaching job if he's offered it?
I do not think he will take this job. I don't.
Why?
Because I think he will get
He might not have any other options. No one's hired him yet.
I think he will get another opportunity over this job. Again, he got bypassed for Adam Gase. Okay. I don't think he comes back for a second opportunity. I just don't.
Owners hire the wrong people all the time. Other teams could have hired Monken and they haven't. Like, he would, if they offered him a head coaching job, as long as he doesn't have 3 other options, like, you don't think he would take a job coaching the Jets? Come on now.
But I think he will have other options. That's the difference. I think a team like Jacksonville will offer him a job, and I think he'd rather work with Trevor Lawrence than deal with this mess. But the name you mentioned that makes so much sense, and I don't know if Woody will do this because he's so close with the league, is I'd go and call John Gruden. I think he's the right guy. I don't think he cares about people's feelings, and that's what this organization needs. They need a guy who's going to say, no more. This is bullshit. There needs to be some accountability from the top. And unfortunately, right now, it looks like the inmates have run the asylum within this organization. There is no accountability whatsoever within this organization. So again, John Gruden would be my first call, but I don't think they'll hire him. I just don't think they'll make that call. I think Woody is too close an owner to make that call and buck the trend and go outside of his box and then hire John Gruden. I just don't think he'll do it. I think they'll hire some retread, and unfortunately, that's what will be brought in the next couple of years. Honestly,
well, I mean, there's retreads out there that make sense. Brian Flores would make sense. Is he a retread? Like, there's guys with experience out there that I'd consider another opportunity. Cliff Kingsbury had to interview. Offensive guy, second time around as head coach. Maybe he learned a lot from the first time. I mean, we're seeing what Jane Daniels is doing. John Gruden right now is currently suing the NFL. So if you're the Jets and you want to hire Gruden, you got to talk to the commissioner's office about what the process is there. And if Gruden had a chance to be a head coach, would he drop the lawsuit? He might. Gruden's doing the big PR push right now with the YouTube channel and doing media appearances, similar to what Belichick's doing with all his media stuff. But I vehemently disagree that Todd Monken wouldn't take this job. A lot of people would take this job. It's 1 of 32. Look at the amount of teams that are going to have openings, by the way. Jacksonville, probably an opening. Giants could have an opening. Cleveland could have an opening. Vegas could have an opening. New Orleans already has an opening. I mean, all these jobs have their issues. There's no perfect job. C with a super chat. The stage was set for us to walk in the back door for the 7th seed. I'm pretty optimistic as a Jet fan, but it's really over, isn't it, Jake? See, it's done. It was done. I told you it was done when they lost to New England. They fell to 2-6. It's been done. I was hoping, selfishly, someone who talks about this team every day, we would have some hope getting the 5 and 6 at the bye, and maybe they could give us something. But they've been done. The Jets at least won't give the painful scenario I outlined where they're going to, have a chance to go 9-8 and they blow it late. Or they would go 9-8, miss the playoffs on tiebreakers, and we would lament the fact they blew all these games leading up to it. At least we just know they're done. But I picked against the Jets yesterday. I didn't think they'd win. I thought it was a joke they were a favorite. I didn't think they'd get killed like that. When you lose the way you did yesterday, with your season was on the line, it tells you all you need to know about how rotten to the core the culture inside that building is. It is unacceptable to lose the way they lost yesterday. 20 missed tackles in a game. 20. It is unreal. Purple Belt Mike is up next. What's up, Mike?
Depressed. Man. I just, with how it's all shaping out, and we're all kind of in agreement with the next coach should be an offensive guy. How would you feel if Dable got fired and then he got offered the job?
How would I feel if the Jets hired Dable?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact he's offensive minded. I like the fact he's been in this market. But I got to be honest, man. Dable does a lot of things recently that make you question a lot. I mean, first off, sticking with Daniel Jones at this point, what are you doing?
Well, I think he's sticking with Daniel Jones because Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito are worse. Which
Are they though? I mean, how? I mean, I don't know.
I look. I actually like Dable. I think Dable can coach. But
he's better than he's
bad.
better than certainly Salah and certainly better than Ulbrich, which is not saying much. So I would give him an interview. I'd be intrigued.
Yeah, just because offensively we've been terrible forever. We got to get someone that at least knows offense. But I don't know. I'm really low. I am as low as I've ever been as a Jets fan, which is saying a lot. And I can never get excited like I ever did before because I got this bad taste in my mouth that I don't think I'll get out until they actually do something. But
Mike, hang in there.
Trying.
Ladies and gentlemen, a depressed Purple Belt Mike. It's unreal. 3-7. I'm not as high on Dable as I once was, though. There's a lot of issues there. Talk to any Giants fan who watches every game. More of your calls right now, ladies and gentlemen. We say hello to Neil. Hello, Neil.
Jake, I'm in the darkness.
The Jets finally have killed Neil's optimism.
They finally did it to me. This is really bad. This is, I've never went into 2 seasons with the optimism I had, for this team for a long, long time. And rightfully so, let's face it. I mean, we had a really good roster. Our defense was really good once upon a time. And we only needed a quarterback, and we went and got Aaron Rodgers, and everything looked like it was going to be a turn for us. But, it's just like we turn these guys into shit when they put our uniform on. I just I'm starting to believe it's the uniform. It's like when a player comes to a Mets team and they put that blue and orange jersey on, they turn into ordinary players. And I can't believe how ordinary Aaron Rodgers has looked in the last, few games. I mean, he's had his spots, he's had his moments, but overall, he's not been able to. Not only hasn't he played well, but I really think the players respect him as a leader, and I don't think he's really done enough in that regard. Being a Hall of Fame player. I mean, let's put it this way: if Brett Favre was our quarterback in his twilight of his career, okay, and I know everybody likes to say Aaron Rodgers is washed, yada yada yada. Bottom line is, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, at the end of their careers, winning Super Bowls, and not any better or any better from a standpoint of physical, the way they are physically. I don't think Rodgers is horrible physically, although I think he's a little slow. I think he's really looking too much at the line of scrimmage, and I think he's got a little too much fear of getting hurt. He's certainly not throwing a ball. He's not looking downfield with a guy in his face. He kind of is looking more like a guy that wants to take a knee than a guy that wants to win a game. That's number one. And that's disappointing in itself. But this defense, my God. I just heard Ulbrich do a conference. He just did his little conference, and they asked him about the tackling. And at the end of the day, these players tackle. They played 3 levels of football, and they've been tackling people since they're 10 years old. I watched my son tackle people when he was 8 years old, and he was the smallest guy on the field. He never tried to jump on a guy's back, ever, because he was small. He hit him in the kneecaps. That's where you hit a guy that's bigger than you. And I don't care who it is. It could be the biggest, strongest running back in the league. If you hit him in the knees and below, he's going to go down. Why is Sauce Gardner trying to jump on a guy's back and try to rip him to the ground? But one thing that really nobody's talking about, right? He had the guy in his arms for what, 4 seconds? I did not see another Jet jersey in this picture until he was 6, 7 yards downfield. So where is the, every team has 6, 7 guys on the ball, Jake. You follow me?
Yeah.
They have 6, 7 guys on the ball. And in fairness to Sauce or Gardner, whatever the hell his name is, where is the other guys helping him on the tackle when he's got a guy on his back? I didn't see anybody. And I'll tell you a lot of what I saw yesterday. Soon as these running backs got past the defensive line, there was zero pursuit on the backside. Zero.
They missed 20 tackles yesterday, Neil.
I
mean,
get
it's a
it.
disgrace.
But there was no pursuit, Jake, on the backside. I saw games. Who's that really big tackle that keeps changing teams? I forget his name now. He's one of the oldest guys in the league. And he's the real giant guy that plays on a winning team every year. You know who I'm talking about? What the hell's his name? Oh, shit. This guy's almost 38 years old, okay? He comes into the game and he plays more snaps than most of our defensive line. And I see him pursuing guys downfield, and I just didn't see that yesterday.
Calais Campbell. Is that what you're talking
Calais
about?
Campbell. I see him going after guys downfield, and the guy's old. And yet, we have guys that we rotate in and out. They're all fresh. Nobody's out of breath. Nobody's gassed. And they're not pursuing downfield when a guy runs by them. There's no punching out. There's no interceptions. There's no scramble drills. There's no get the ball. It's just totally, totally disappointing. And we've seen it all season. We just are, we're in disbelief that it's going to happen, but it just happens. And this is just the culmination of it all, that we just had this one blow-up game yesterday. But we saw it all season that we weren't going to stop the run. And I agree with Joe Benigno. I got to tell you, I'm watching the other games yesterday. I see Mike Williams with the touchdown, right? Then I see Quentin Jefferson make a nice sack. Then I see Frankie Louvu, another guy we let go of, have 2 sacks. Then I see Mike Pinnock on the Giants is probably the best safety, one of the top 5 safeties in the league. All of these former Jets, the linebacker, what's his name, that we let go of? He's on the Texans. Who's the linebacker on the Texans? Was Blake Cashman. Another guy, top linebacker, Jake, not on our team. I mean, and who do you blame for that, Jake? Do you blame the GM for getting rid of guys like that, or what?
Yeah, I blame everyone, Neil. I blame the entire organization, the culture that's established, the lack of accountability. I mean, as you're talking, I'm seeing a tweet here from Sauce, who's quote tweeting Rich Cimini, who does his Jet stock report, and he had Sauce Gardner as a stock down and wrote costliest missed tackle of the game. And Sauce responded, "Yup, I'm 100% sure me missing that tackle at the beginning of the second quarter for a gain of 17 yards was the costliest miss, and that is in fact what lost us the game." I mean, this team is so unlikable. Sauce needs to log off, stop being online and responding to every negative criticism of you. You've missed a ton of tackles this year. You have not played like your all-pro self. It starts with all of that. The leadership on this team is piss poor. It is nonsense coming from Sauce, and that is what he's focused on this morning. Dude, you've been terrible.
For him to even go on social media, he should be looking at tape. He should be in there with his teammates, figuring out what they could do.
And he already deleted the tweet. He always does this. He tweets and then deletes it. There's just zero accountability on this team. That's how a guy like Sauce could say what he says. I'm tired of it, man. I mean, we all love Sauce when he's first team All-Pro and he's playing golf in the offseason and he's streaming on Twitch and it's fun. But when you play like how he has played, and then take zero accountability for it, you lose the fan base. And it is disgusting what has happened with him, but it's a microcosm on what has happened with all these players.
Now, I'll say one last thing, and this is pointed at Allen. For you to say, I mean, you put the list of those top 10 teams on, okay? And of all those top 10 teams that are ahead of us on the draft scale, there's not one team, if I was a good coach, that I would prefer going to besides the Jets. Let's face it.
Well, I heard Rex say this morning, he's like, of course the Jet job's attractive. You got a lot of talent, and it's New York.
Allen, that's the dumbest ass take I've ever seen, okay? The bottom line is coaches will want to come here because it's just some fundamental things that could be fixed, okay?
Let's not forget, Saleh was considered one of the top guys of the hiring cycle, and the Jets were coming off a 2-win season, and they got him. You'll be able to get a qualified candidate. It's just a matter of, are you going to pick the right guy? That's always what it comes down to.
Right. And I will say this to you, and I hearken back to how horrible we were with Rich Kotite. And then when Parcells came in here, with Belichick, mind you, as his defensive coordinator, and I never will forget this, our defensive roster, when Kotite left, was probably the worst talented defense that ever walked on a field before. I mean, they stunk. And Bill Belichick came in here the next year with almost an identical defense to what he had the year before. You don't just change your defensive roster in 1 year. And if I remember correctly, they didn't even get anybody in the offseason that was a game changer on defense. And guess what? He turned the worst defense in the league into a top 10 defense in 1 year. So, again, I don't want a defensive-minded coach. Forget Vrabel. That's a defensive-minded coach. I want, an offensive guru, and I want a head coach, and this is why I agree with Joe in a certain sense. You want a coach that is a motivator. This team needs a motivator. Bill Parcells was a motivator of men. They need to look up to somebody, and they're just not, they need somebody in that regard. And with that, I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do for Sundays. I have to drug myself because I got to tell you something, dude. I spoke to Peter last night. Did Peter come on the show yesterday? I stopped watching.
He did, yes.
Okay, I spoke to Peter last night. And, look, we're not young guys, man. I got to tell you something, man. I am wiped this morning. I am wiped. And I have the energy of 10 men. And right now, I feel like I got hit by a goddamn truck watching this game. Hit with a truck. I feel like Mike Tyson took me, put my arms behind my freaking back, and started beating me repeatedly in the face over and over again. And me saying, after he hit me for the first 30 minutes, saying, "Are you done yet?" And I say, "No, sir, I'd like another," and keep hitting me for the rest of the game because I didn't miss a snap. So I am completely crushed. I don't know what else to say. I just do know one thing. Allen, you got to take it easy, man. We don't really want to hear what your coaching picks are. Keep that to yourself because none of us here on this chat know what the hell we're talking about. We're just fans, okay? We're not experts. We don't know that Aaron Rodgers told Woody Johnson that he wanted this guy out or that guy out. And he even said it many times, Jake, as you know. I have nothing to do with this. I know people are thinking that I have a big thing to say about the team. I really believe Aaron Rodgers has got an opinion, and I believe they weigh on his opinion because of who he is. He's a Hall of Fame player, but they're not listening to him say he's not going in there making demands.
No, he didn't have. He had nothing to do with Saleh being fired because
No
if he
way.
did, you don't think the Jets beat reporters would want that story? Would be pursuing that story? They're the ones telling you it didn't happen, right? I mean, you don't think they want? That's the most juiciest story of all juiciest stories. Right. The Hall of Fame quarterback backstabbed the coach and got him fired. That didn't happen. The bottom line is this,
they still talk
O'Neal.
about that, Jake. They still talk about that on all these shows.
Yeah.
That it really is the case because they hate Aaron Rodgers.
Of course. But that's unfortunately what it's always been about. But now Aaron's not playing well. So it's just like what are you going to do? Like, it's just the season is just an absolute disaster. I will say this, though, Neil. As bad as it is, we will always have this moment. The good old days when this team was 1-1, and then eventually they got to 2-1. And Neil gave us a moment like this.
I think that guy I know, right?
Man. You know, many are saying, though, the Jets' season started to spiral, though, after this happened.
Take it all! Take it all! Let's go!
Hasn't been the same since. Taps any button. Sadly, I knew this would happen the moment we got AR. My friends thought I was crazy. Fire everyone, get a new owner, and start over. This has to stop, please. Stop with the get a new owner. You say get a new owner, fire everybody. Like, you're not, great insight. Get a new owner. As if we could just press a fucking button and get a new owner. I'm so tired of the stupidity from people. I don't want your blood money, taps any button. Woody's not getting fired. And I love this. You knew it would happen that they added Aaron Rodgers. So what was the solution? Derek Carr? Jimmy Garoppolo? The Rodgers move obviously has not worked. But the idea that you knew this would happen. No, you didn't. You thought this team would be 3-7 with the talent they had. You thought Greg Zuerlein would go from not missing a kick for basically 2 years to missing 3 that cost him games. Leading the NFL in missed field goals before they finally pulled the plug on him weeks after they should have done it previously. You thought Tyron Smith would go from second-team All-Pro to being unplayable at times this year. You thought Sauce Gardner would regress from a first-team All-Pro his first 2 years to a guy at times who doesn't look like he belongs on the field with his tackle skills. You didn't know this was going to happen. You didn't know shit. You didn't know anything. You knew this was going to happen. No, you didn't. You didn't know anything. Please. You knew this was going to happen. That's what makes it so painful. You didn't know this was going to be this bad. Maybe you didn't think the team wasn't as good. But 3-7, really? You didn't know. You had no idea. You didn't know anything. You knew. Go play the lottery if you knew. Give me some winning lottery numbers. Until you do that, you're gone.
How'd you like to play some football? Football. Yeah, would you like that? Report to the practice field tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
I've had enough of the people, we knew this was going to be bad. No, you didn't. That's what makes it so frustrating. You didn't know. I regret nothing with the Aaron Rodgers decision to bring him in. They had no other option because this GM screwed up the Zach Wilson pick. That was the problem. You didn't know anything. It hasn't worked. Doesn't mean it was the wrong move. I love that. Get rid of Woody. As if you could just do that. So it's so frustrating, man. It hasn't worked. It doesn't mean it was the wrong move to bring Aaron Rodgers in. They had no other choice. They had no other choice. And honestly, I really do believe him getting hurt in year 1 screwed everything up. And that's no one's fault. It's just typical Jets. Because the Mulligan year got us to this point. If this year happened last year, they could have at least salvaged it potentially with a new coaching staff coming in. And I think this job would have been attractive a year ago. You don't think Jim Harbaugh wanted to come here if he had a chance to coach Aaron Rodgers and then eventually get his quarterback? Like, to me, the Jets are like what the Chargers were a year ago, a team of a bunch of names, and they're poorly coached. You bring in Harbaugh to L.A., they're 6-3 right now. And it's only the Jets this stuff happens to. But I love that you knew this would happen the moment they got Aaron Rodgers. No, you didn't. They won 7 games without the guy last year. Had a top 5 defense, top 5 special teams. They added talent to this offense in the offseason. And you thought they'd be 3-7? You thought it'd be this big of a bleep show? You didn't know anything. No Jet fan saw this coming. Even the most negative Jet fan did not think this team would be 3-7. That's the difference. The people saying you knew it would be bad because of Aaron. No, you didn't. How'd it work when Peyton Manning left and went to Denver? How'd it work when Brady went to Tampa and joined a 7-win team with an elite defense that was missing a quarterback? Oh, they won the Super Bowl in year 1? Gator nails it. Last year, the missing piece was a quarterback. This year, it's a defense. It was a defense and a kicker this year. Like, statistically, Aaron has not been great for his standards, but he's so much better than Zach Wilson or Tim Boyle or Joe Flacco or insert whoever. AJ says, I knew the Rodgers experiment would fail because he's a selfish person. Yeah, that's why his teammates voted him best teammate last year. That's why he gave back $35 million to help this team from a financial cap flexibility standpoint. Took the largest pay cut in NFL history. He's so selfish. He hasn't played up to his standard. He has not been, I think, what we thought. But the idea that it would fail because he's selfish, you're just an asshole. Goodbye.
F you. F you. F you too.
I mean, it's so stupid, man. I don't have patience anymore for it. I can't. I cannot do this for another 7 games. The fact that we're here on November 11th is a goddamn joke. Zach writes in, Soft Gardner. Soft Gardner, Ahmad Gardner. I'm not calling him Sauce anymore. You got to earn that. Ridiculous. And then that tweet from Sauce is such bull this morning. Just zero awareness. Jersey Joe says, locker room in shambles. Quincy's postgame interview shows it. I mean, this team is they're terrible. And it's so annoying, man. Everyone wants to blame Woody, and I get it. He's not a good owner. But at the end of the day, this general manager's been here for 6 years. He picked his coach. He picked his quarterback. He got the Rodgers deal done. I mean, he's built the entire team, and he's 30-63 now. It's over. We always go through cycles of Jet fans in the blame chart. Some years it's the quarterback. Some years the head coach. Some years it's the offensive coordinator. Like, even in this cycle here in the Douglas regime, let's go through the blame chart. Year 1 for Douglas, it was Adam Gase. Year 2, it was Mike LaFleur. Year 3, it was Robert Saleh. Year 4, it's now the owner. And he's been here for 6 years, but I'm basically throwing out the first 2 as he was basically rebuilding, getting his coaching hire and his quarterback pick. And like, it's always the same cycle. Goes coach, quarterback, GM. Eventually we get to the owner. And we're in the owner stage right now. Then Woody will hire new people. Those guys will get an opportunity. And then eventually we'll blame them. They'll be fired. We'll go back to blaming Woody. It's just a cycle that never ends. TT says, part of me wonders if these overly pessimistic Jet fans have it all figured out. I mean, if you're right, you can celebrate. And if you're wrong, at least you get to watch good Jets football. Well, the people who are doom and gloom no matter what as Jet fans, yeah, chances are you're going to be right because the team's been bad for 14 years. It's brutal, man. It is a brutal existence having to support this team. Tyrone with the super chat. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. I know I'm pissed off as you are this morning, but I appreciate it. Still remember Rex throwing his headset down and our last playoff appearance loss. We have been snake bitten since. If Aaron plays last year, we make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, last year's team was better than this year's team. It was. The defense is light years better. And that was my big thing going into the year. You know, every year is different. You know, the last 2 years, the Jet defense was healthy. They really had no significant injuries. This year, they've been destroyed by injuries. The entire secondary has been out of games. The D-line is in shambles. Part of that's on the general manager for dismantling the D-line. Part of it's also bad luck. Jermaine Johnson got hurt in week 2. It's a big blow. Mosley's missed most of the season. Reed has missed some games. Carter has not been the same guy this year, playing through something that's clearly bothering him. AD with a super chat. What would be equal to Parcells/Belichick hire in 2025? I look at Mike Vrabel as the best guy that's available. Maybe Kevin Stefanski. I mean, come on. There is no, like, Parcells type, though. It would have been Harbaugh a year ago. But that guy's not available. Taps Any Button is back. Same stuff happens every time. This happened before with Brandon Marshall, Fitz, etc. We believe the same stuff every time. I truly believe we are delusional. 2015 was not supposed to be a good season. That was lightning in the bottle with Fitz. He wasn't supposed to start that year. They've tried everything else, Taps. They tried drafting the young quarterback in back-to-back regimes. They took Sam Darnold 3rd overall. They took Zach Wilson 2nd overall. It didn't work. They made the right move with a team that was ready to win by trading for Aaron Rodgers. Like the Bucs brought in Tom Brady when they missed on Jameis Winston and won 7 games with a top 5 defense and had weapons, but were missing the quarterback. It worked for them. The Rams felt they were a quarterback away. They traded for Stafford. It worked. The Jets, I believe last year, were actually a quarterback away. And then Rodgers got hurt 4 plays in. I don't think he was ever the same guy coming off that injury, but still you thought the talent on the team would be good enough to overcome your coaching concerns. And whatever version of Aaron you were going to get would be good enough because it'd be so much better than anything you've had, which is true. Yet the talent that we thought they had is not as good. The coaching's an abomination. And the defense, which was a strength of this team, is no longer that. That's what's happened here. The fundamental things we were banking on for this team to have around this quarterback coming back from injury are not there. Jet Worldwide is the first to make it rain with 5 channel memberships on the show. Jet Worldwide, we thank you for your service.
Free stuff.
If you hear your name called, you're a channel member. Let's get some memberships before we wrap up the show. We still got 1,400 people watching live, so thanks to everyone for your support. Will Parkinson will join us at 3:30 Eastern time today. Rich Rise, Wolves 55, Matthew Granger, Adam Cavender, Rattlehead, all receiving channel memberships. Great list of listeners there. If you want Joe B's opinion on the Jets, you're tuned in late. Joe was on with us for the first 45 minutes of the show, so we rewind if you're joining us late. Winston with a super chat here. Woody, sell the damn team. Look at the Commanders. It's clipped. We had enough. We need a fresh breath of air. Sell the team. We all could say sell the team. Tell me why Woody would sell. Because you want him to? Cool. I want to date Margot Robbie. Are we just throwing things out we want to see happen? Tyrone, maybe we need an exorcism. I mean, you were at the game yesterday, Tyrone. Maybe you could have done it for us. Maybe that's the difference. Unreal. Taps Any Button. I have a screenshot in my group chat saying I did not want Aaron because of these reasons. I'd send it to you if you want. Same stuff, different year. There's nothing I want to see less than your screenshot telling me you didn't want Aaron Rodgers. Because you tell me what you would have done. Taps Any Button. I forgot you are the architect of multiple Super Bowl winning teams, and the Jets should have hired you. You tell me what they should have done. Zach Wilson sucks. He is terrible. He's a third-string quarterback. They needed to move on from him. Of the quarterback options that were available, what would you have done that year? Garoppolo? Carr? Baker coming off a terrible season? Where he was benched for Darnold in Carolina? What was the option? Please tell me. Sometimes you can make the right move and it's the wrong result. Douglas had to make the Rodgers move because he screwed up the Zach Wilson draft pick. It hasn't worked, but you tell me what they were supposed to do. I mean, come on now. It's so stupid. He wanted Carr. Okay, Taps, thank you for your time. Thank you for your money. I would refund it to you immediately if I could. We will see you in 5 minutes.
Just shut the fuck up. I did not ask for the dumb opinion that came out of your ass, so shut the fuck up.
I mean, you can get on Joe Douglas for a lot of things, but of his options, he did the only thing anyone with any common sense would do. God. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if the biggest Joe Douglas supporter has finally been broken.
The only thing better than all them shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
Jake, my man, my brother, what's going on, buddy?
Mr. Bonesy.
I'm broke, man. I mean, for starters, I don't even know why our defense has to be like they should be. I'm embarrassed. I don't know how they could actually find an excuse for yesterday. Like, we gave up points within the first 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and it was a touchdown. I mean, I waited all weekend, all week for that moment, and it got taken away that fast because of how our players don't even show up. When's the last time we stopped somebody on a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1? I don't think it's happened all season that we've, do you play Madden? Go into goal line defense and just man up one-on-one and say, fuck, we're scoring, we're stopping them on this, we're giving up a touchdown if they want to throw it deep or a one-on-one coverage. It drives me nuts how many missed tackles they play with, no effort. You see a couple of them, like Jalen Mills trying and Quincy, but I don't know. It's just, I'm not even going to defend Joe Douglas anymore because, yeah, sure, he's the worst GM, with the record-wise. The talent hasn't worked out. I don't know what you wanted to do with bringing in Rodgers. When people are saying bring in Derek Carr, it's like, come on, guys. You think Derek Carr would have had the balls to come in here and save us? He wasn't going to do anything with us. From a new coaching standpoint, I personally don't want any defensive-minded coach other than Rex Ryan, who's proved to us that he's done it before in New York, and we've seen it with our eyes, so maybe we'll respect him a little bit. I don't want the next guy coming in and our go-to is our defense again. We're going to have a defensive guy who's going to shut people down. No, we need an offensive guy to come in. And I know Gase failed when we tried to go offense, but that was because, Christopher Johnson was picking our guy, which might happen again, which is the other scary part of this. Everyone's fire everyone and rebuild. And it's God damn, man, I can't believe my mind has to go to a rebuild after all the hoopla we've had shoved up our ass and got us so excited with all these, bringing in Rodgers and all this stuff. And you know what really gets to me? When you read through the tea leaves and you look at they're just still not on the same page on offense. As much as last week was a fugazi. That was a fluke of a great player making plays and saving our ass. Even last week, Aaron Rodgers had 2 touchdowns that Garrett Wilson had to make one-handed catches on. Yep. We can't even score when they're playing prevent defense. We were down 31-6. They're in prevent defense, and we can't even get a score. I can't even get a touchdown for fantasy from Rodgers because I picked a fan while Dano is blowing me out 158 to 58 because he has Lamar Jackson and he picked no Jets. Well, I got Breece Hall and Aaron Rodgers, and I even picked up Conklin. It's so embarrassing that with knowing going into that game, Denver lost, Cincinnati lost, the Colts lost. How do you show up and play that bad? Coaching is disgusting in our franchise. I mean, we are way over our head with Brick. He's. I mean, I saw him trying to talk to the defense on the sideline yesterday. Our defense is it's embarrassing. How do you think the offense feels when your defense ain't getting a stop? You're either gonna win 58 like is Kyler Murray. All we talked about was he's going to run all over us and they're going to run the ball down their throats. They didn't even have to. He was beating us with whatever he wanted to do. We can't tackle nobody. I'm disgusted, Jake. I really, yeah. You know what? Hamburger, cheeseburger man called me out yesterday on the thing. You're right, man. I am a Joe Douglas guy because I like the talent on the roster, but it's over. Joe Douglas he's not coming back even if we wanted him to. His contract ends, it's over. It's now we just got to put faith into Woody and Christopher Johnson to pick our next guys because they are very good at that. So we should have faith that they'll find the right one. Or maybe we'll try what we did last time when Woody paid millions of dollars to have somebody else find someone, and we got McCagnon. So I just, I don't know, man. I'm embarrassed. Everybody between our whole, crew of Jet fans, between you and Nick and everybody, and just the people in my regular daily life who know me as a Jets fan, I'm just sick of hearing it, man. We couldn't even get that was another thing. We were getting blown out and we couldn't put any points on the board. It's so embarrassing. And I watched every play. My wife, my kids, they're looking at me like a schlep on the couch. Like, why are you still watching this game? Because I have to. I don't have a choice. I have to watch every play. I can't. If you're a fan who could turn the game off and not watch, kudos to you. Because that means you don't bleed green and white because you have to watch. It's a sickening. It's in our heads.
I sat there and I watched every second of it. And I will continue to do that for all these games because I'm sick and twisted, and it's the only way I know how.
I'm letting it affect me on an everyday basis, trying to raise 3 kids and them see how much, time and effort and love I have for the Jets, and especially my oldest son, it don't affect him at all, but my middle son already, he's starting to get like sad and stuff, and he sees me sad, and it's like I have to really grow up and realize that, there's more to life than on my expression, at least, because I'm setting a bad example. I'm letting this kid have his day ruined because my day's ruined. My wife is just like, you know what, man, you got to set a better example for your son. You're making him a Jets fan, and do you want to do that? It's like, of course I do, but guys, give it to me, man. I'm a Joe Douglas guy. It's obviously over. I'm not going to sit here and defend it anymore. I just don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't have any answers. Yes, normally the Jets will give us a game where we have some excuses. We lose by field goals. Yesterday we didn't even lose because we didn't even no penalties. We can't even get mad at the refs. Nothing happened that should have been that bad. It's embarrassing, and I don't know what else to say, man.
Bonesy, hang in there, all right?
I love you, bro. I love it. I love all my boys. I had a lot of wellness checks yesterday from the fellas. So shout out to everybody. I love you guys. And JETS, just end the season.
Ladies and gentlemen, a depressed Mr. Bonesy live from Alden Shoe Store. Gator writes in, highlight of the game yesterday was Quincy's hit on Kyler. How did he not get sent to the blue tent? I thought he was sent to the shadow realm with that hit. I'm amazed he got up. But that's typical Jets. If that happens to Aaron Rodgers, he's stretchered out. Kyler Murray gets right back up. He's like, oh, that was a hit. Quincy did not have a good game yesterday, though. I mean, he missed a ton of tackles. They all did. Every player on this defense, I think, missed at least 1 or 2 tackles. It was embarrassing. John with a super chat. Thank you, John. Fairly healthy squad is on offense, averaging 17.7 points per game. Defense giving up 21.4 points per game after being top 5 back-to-back years. This team is unmotivated and mentally depressed. They're poorly coached. When you come out and that's your performance with 9 days to get ready, that is squarely on the coaching staff. Blame the players too, sure. But this is a coaching problem. It's why if you get better coaching, you can turn it around. But you have no faith in this owner hiring the right coach. And first off, the GM as well. They got to get a GM first. And then that GM hiring the coach? Brutal. Jets Chaos says if we get out of A-Rod for $49 million, free and clear to retain players we want long-term, rebuild starts now. I think you spread out Aaron's money over 2 years. You don't just do it in 1 year. Unless your plan is fully to blow it all up. I mean, he'll count $15 million in dead money next year. Excuse me. In dead money next year, and what, $35 million? I think it's in 2026, which is manageable, given the cap keep going up every year, and you can plan for that. But I mean, look, Rodgers still gives you moments where you see it, and he's better than Wilson. He's better than Darnold. He's better than like all these guys they've had since 2015 Fitz, but it's not good enough. And the team around him is not the team we thought. Yeah, there was a throw yesterday. Aaron missed Corley wide open for a touchdown. Now, the game was over at that point, but, like, he's just not making some of the throws he would always make. Just brutal. Snake writes in, don't give up, Jet fans. Fight, fight, fight. This fan base won't give up. I mean, we'll be here. I mean, I have over 40,000 subscribers that still care about this team. They haven't made the playoffs since 2010. This is the best fan base in sports. But it's just, how can you not just be depressed? We've seen bad Jet teams, bad Jet seasons. But there was always light at the end of the tunnel from the standpoint of, well, if they could just do this, you could see it. Right? Even last year, as bleak as it was, it's like, you know what the problem was? They're the worst offense in the league. They had the worst quarterback in the league. What's the problem this year? It's everything. There's not one problem with this team. That's what's so depressing. You went all in to try and win this year, and I couldn't tell you what you do to fix it. I don't know the answer. I don't know who they should hire at GM, coach, who the quarterback should be, what the plan at quarterback should be. I don't know. I can give you some opinions once I eventually process everything, but there's still 7 games left. So much can still change between now and then. Like, how bad does this get? Or do they win some fake games late like they typically do? And what does that do for our thought process on the direction now? I just – there's 7 games left. Scott writes in, when Bonesy's defeated, we know it's over. Sad but true. Tyrone with a super chat. Last remark before I start my trip back to Cali. Tyrone, I'm so sorry you had to watch that in person, man. I know you were so excited to go with your son. Just brutal. 7 games left. Good time to evaluate what we need to do for next year, but I'm still hoping for 7 wins. Yeah, I mean, look, until the Jets, get that 9th loss, I'm rooting for every win possible. It's just tough to see it right now. 7 wins, I mean. Seems 3-7. Go win the next 7 and go 10-7. But that's not going to happen. Just sucks. All right, we'll do a few more calls here. John's up next. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going? I mean, how could we say how's it going? I mean, this was just this is probably maybe my lowest point as a Jets fan. I've been a fan for, since birth, right? So 36 years, and I've had season tickets since 2014. So I've had the toughest stretch by far of Jets fandom as a season ticket holder. And my God, I think it's time to just get rid of the tickets completely.
It's tough to tell any season ticket holder that spends money on this team that they should continue to do it. Like right now, if you're a season ticket holder, what are you paying for next year? You don't know who the quarterback is. You don't know who the coach is. You don't know who the GM is, and they raise your prices. Like, come on.
I mean, I'm just spending $3,400 a year basically on these tickets and a parking pass, right? And I'm in nosebleeds, and they keep raising my prices. So, why the hell should I justify continuing this action? I mean, I've lost money. I'm going to lose money on the rest of the season. I mean, people I had lined up for the whole season have already just bailed on me, which I understand because, why? And, I'd rather do something else on Sunday. And I was kind of hoping, hey, this was going to be a Sunday night game going down the road because I can go golfing in the afternoon. But no, now that's all screwed up. So, what the fuck am I going to – sorry about the language, but what am I going to do here? But this team just seems just so mentally checked out. When you have, fundamental things like just tackling, right, or Devontae running the right hook route, for an incomplete pass and just being uncoordinated, you got to think it's a mental thing at this point with this team. Like when someone's like physically, mentally depressed, right? Like basic things in your life are just not functionable, right? And you got to get yourself out of that funk in order to just function in life. And right now, this team just feels like they're just not there. And I will give one credit to Salah. He was good at motivating his team, but that motivator is gone right now. And Ulbrich has got a lot on his plate. He just can't handle it right now. And like, I mean, you can clearly see it since like he's been head coach. Like this team is just giving up yards on the run game and like crazy. And there's no way to fix this thing right now. There just really is no way to fix this thing right now. We're in a start all over mode, which is just crazy to think that we've been rebuilding for all this time and we got to really do it again next year. And I guess my question for you is just like, Jordan Travis, I guess, like maybe you give him a shot towards the end of the year at this point. Like if he's healthy enough to get on the field, like just to see what you got out of there. And maybe like he's learned something, because you definitely need a quarterback going forward. Because Rodgers, I think, yeah, he still has it to make the right reads and all that. But you know that window is closed basically at this point. Like he can't come back next year and be a top 10 quarterback at this point. So like, what do you do at quarterback? Do you just roll with Jordan Travis at least 1 or 2 games just to see what you got there, maybe at the end of the year when everything's kind of a little bit healthier on that end? Or do you maybe just test out Tyrod? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron's going to continue to play until they're out of it, and then I'm sure they'll put him in IR with some sort of injury, right? You know, I could see that. But, I mean, Jordan Travis is not healthy. He's not playing this year, so he'll get a chance to play in the preseason next year. Who knows? I think they need to draft the quarterback in the first round. I think that's what they got to do this offseason. Whether Aaron's here next year or not, if he wants to be here to be the bridge guy for a year with a, better coach, maybe they can win some more games because his team does still have some talent. Maybe you go down that path. I don't think he's here next year, though. I think we're looking at new quarterback, new GM, and new coach, given how dire the situation is.
I mean, the way his contract is set up, though, he is technically penciled in for another year, right? I mean, I guess then it gets really funky with the cap at that point, right? Because like it would be a lot of dead cap. Well,
it's either $49 million next year, or you spread it out over 2 years and $15 million 1 year and $35 the next, which maybe they would do. But that will depend on who the GM is and what he views this plan is for how they can win, or if he wants to do a reset year. I mean that because if you're going to start a rookie, let's say next year at quarterback, if that's your plan, then why not just eat the $49 million all next year, because you're going to be like you're not trying to win next year, so you don't really need all the cap space to make all these moves. You'll play the rookie, and then you'll start to make moves to try and build around said rookie going into his second year. I mean that'd be what they would do.
Yeah, what sucks too is that if you even want to go free agency with quarterback, it's barren next year. Right. It's really barren. I mean, the best name on there is actually Sam Darnold, which is freaking hilarious.
And he's come back down to earth, by the way. He has not been very good lately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you kind of knew that was going to fall off, right? I mean, even that Vikings team is super talented up front, and he's probably the one thing that's actually holding them back right now, right? So it's like you've got no options of free agency, and the QB class, like, it's a little top heavy, but like it isn't as deep as these last couple classes, right? So it's just like, yeah, I mean, this sucks. I don't know, but I'm giving away tickets. If people want tickets, I'm giving them away at this point because there's just no point in me going to these games. I have 4, so you can bring your friends in the 300, super, super relaxed and all that. But also the other thing that's crazy too is it's just in DT Quinnen, like he shows up or he doesn't show up, and obviously Kinlaw has just not been there either to be that other complement. Like, they're going to need another DT, like in theory, just to kind of keep this, like, at least solve the run defense at this point, right? And the last thing I've just kind of noticed too, like, why do they abandon the run so quickly, the Jets? I mean, yeah, they fell behind, but they were actually running the ball pretty effectively yesterday.
I mean, it's just brutal. I don't have answers, John. It's all bad. Good call. There's not one player on the defense yesterday I thought did their job. And that play by Sauce is such a microcosm of the season. Just brutal. When does the pain end? I've asked myself that many times, and no one knows the answer.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course. Well, I feel bad for those Jets ticket holders because the Jets are morons charging more money now than we, like you say, you don't know what's next team going to be. They suck now. So I feel bad for Chef Kevin and also this guy, John, which I don't know him, but I felt bad for him. 4 tickets he has, and he can't use them. That sucks, doesn't it? For
Yeah.
the Jet
I-
season ticket.
every
And then
season
Woody
ticket holder
Johnson has
sucks.
some nerve to charge him more. Charge him more. You know, you got a crappy ass team playing, and you're gonna charge them more for what? To see what kind of crap you got. Who has more crap, the Giants or the Jets? I think the Giants have more crap than the Jets. Definitely more crap. I saw that game. Oh, it was overtime. Exciting. Oh, we went to overtime. First play, overtime. Guy from the ball. Kick it. Field goal. We lost again. 2-8. 2-8. Okay. And the Jets and Giants are great this year. I mean, put them all together. They're 5-15. Oh, that's great. 5-15. 2 teams in New York. How's that? You like that record?
No.
No, I hate it. It's a piece of crap. I'm with Alan. I think Detroit's gonna run everybody over. Detroit looks like a good team this year. They have an ex Dan Campbell on that team.
They're good. We'll see if they can beat the Chiefs because it feels like the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs! Don't get me started with that team. Don't get me started with that piece of shit team. They should have been.
They're undefeated.
Well, okay, 2 of them, they should have won that 2 games. They should be 7-2. That's what they should be. Not 9-0. That I was 2 games. They got no penalties, which they should have got penalties, and then the other team loses. No. I don't want to hear that. No. They are not undefeated team material. No.
I'd rather be the Chiefs than the Jets.
Oh yeah, but I'd rather be Detroit than Kansas City.
I would.
Detroit
I'll
at
take
least
Patrick Mahomes.
fairly.
I'll take the team that's won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to win 3 in a row, so that's a bull crap.
What about the Jets? Are they gonna win a Super Bowl this year, Bob?
I don't think so. They win the 12 Bowl, maybe. Probably win the 12 Bowl. Hey, I got a trivia question next year. Where did the original Mardi Gras start? Where did it first start?
Galveston, Texas.
No, you're kind of close. Mobile, Alabama.
Ah.
Yeah, I watched this show called The Great Food Truck Race, and they had that today. They were in that town. And I didn't know that. I thought it was like in New Orleans. And then guess what they had? They had to make these, samplers, food samplers for like carnival. And they had food on a stick. Like my favorite word. Put some of these on a stick. So that was fun. I thought that was hilarious. So my friend Will's gonna be on at 4:00 today.
Nope.
4:30.
Nope.
3:30.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. I guess you didn't tell the time. I thought it was 4. Okay, well, I could be wrong. I'm an old fart. So, all right. Nice talking to you, Jake. I want to wish every veteran a happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all your service. I appreciate it. You guys rule. Do you want me to sing the national anthem?
I would love that. Yes.
Okay, I gotta sing it. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's glass gleaming? And I got okay. Let me practice, and I'll do the second show. I gotta get down the words. Okay, I got to write them words. I'll practice the second show. I promise. Okay, didn't get the right word. Okay, can I practice on the second show, Jake? I don't know the whole thing by heart. I tried my best.
Yeah, we'll try this afternoon.
Well, it's a lot better than Roseanne laughing throughout the whole damn thing.
3:30. Will Parkinson will be on the show. We'll have you on around that time.
All right, that sounds good. I'll practice then, and then we'll see you guys later.
All right, sounds good, Bob.
Oh yeah, we'll be back after these messages.
All right.
Oh, I like the Yankees and the Jets. Can't believe Jake and Roger met. I'm more than just a hat on Bobby.
I mean, that call was tremendous by Bob. Nate writes in Bobby's new YouTube, The Legend of Bobby Midday. That's right. New YouTube channel for Bobby after his old one was banned by YouTube. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to a guy who, when he calls in, some might like it, some might hate it. The key thing about these guys, this guy, and when he calls in, is that you never know what you're going to get. Could be a good call, could be a bad call. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. SEAL Team 75, assemble.
The Clapping Seals, they're alive and well in the chat.
Gary, hello.
What's up, Jake? So, couple of things. First, like the revisionist history on Aaron Rodgers is like kind of I blame Joe Douglas for everything, right? But like Derek Carr, and I like Derek Carr more than most people do. Were you going to win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? Maybe you could have went 10-7, right? Maybe. I don't think he's that bad like most people do. I think he's kind of average. But were you going to win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? No. Right? Maybe you go 10-7 with Derek Carr.
I don't even think they would do that, honestly. I think Derek Carr is so bad. I think he is a box score fabrication. He's not good.
I would put him in the group of quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's bad. He's not. But the point is, he's not going to win Super Bowl with him.
Yeah, and the point is like obviously the Aaron Rodgers move has not worked, right? We all could see that, but it's the idea that it was the wrong move. It was the only move they could have made, given where the team was at, after screwing up as badly as they screwed up selecting Zach Wilson. That's just the unfortunate reality of where this team is, where they were at that time. It hasn't worked, but the idea that it was a mistake to make that move, no, it was the right move, but it hasn't worked, and ultimately it's going to cost the GM his job because he has not had a winning season, and he's been here for 6 years now. It's over.
No, you swung big and you missed big with Aaron Rodgers. I'll never fault someone for swinging big and missing big, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, that's your chance to win a Super Bowl. If he's healthy and he's close to what
they tried to do what Tampa did, and for Tampa, Brady shows up year one, they win it all. For the Jets, Rodgers is there for 4 plays, and it basically ruined this entire run by him missing all of last year. It killed any chance of last year being what's happening this year and rectifying it with a better coach going into this year, which could have salvaged a lot. Maybe they wouldn't have been a Super Bowl team this year, but they had Jim Harbaugh coaching this team right now because last year was so bad with Saleh. Harbaugh's here to make a run with Rodgers. Maybe everything's different. Who knows? We'll never know.
You weren't going to a Super Bowl with Baker. You weren't going to a Super Bowl with Derek Carr. So the only chance you had, or Jimmy G, which in retrospect, he's god-awful, right? So the only chance you had to win a Super Bowl was to hit on Aaron Rodgers, and he got hurt 4 snaps, and it didn't work out. I don't kill Joe Douglas for that. I give you guys credit. I emotionally checked out of this team after the Steelers game. I was done after that. I said my Mets and my Jets season ended on the exact same night. You guys hung in a little longer. I don't remember ever being this hurt by the Jets. Like, it's usually the Mets that reserve this kind of pain for me. Like the Jets, like when they suck, they suck. I can't explain this. Like last year, you can explain. 1999, you can explain. I don't have an explanation for why this team is 3-7, Jake. Like if they were 5-5, I'd be like, ooh, what's going on? 3-7? I don't have an explanation for this. This makes no sense. Why they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. I don't know. I don't know why they're this bad. I don't know why they suck.
I think coaching is the biggest thing, Gary, because you can't tell me that they're losing to teams that have more talent than them in a lot of cases, right? I mean, how do you lose to New England? How do you lose that game to Denver? How do you blow that game like the way they blew it against even Buffalo at home? Buffalo is good, but it's like it just shows you like when this team can click in the few moments we've seen it, they can hang with anyone. It's just like, they are so poorly coached. They get exposed when they play teams with better coaching. They get exposed when they play physical teams because I think they're soft. And I think it all starts with the coaching staff, man. I mean, they remind me so much of this Chargers team a year ago. That was just brutal from a coaching standpoint with Staley. And they bring in Harbaugh, and they're 6-3 right now. Like I mean, it's coach and quarterback in the NFL. And I think the quarterback, while he's not great, he's been competent in enough of these games. With better coaching, they would probably be, reverse record of what they are. Instead of 3-7, they'd probably be 7-3. And even if they're not 7-3, could they be 5-5 right now? I don't think that's crazy. They were 5-5 with better coaching. I really don't.
And then, like, two last things. First, can we just put Olu on the field? I mean, why would you not put him on the field at this point? Let him play every snap from here on out. Why wouldn't you?
Start left tackle every game. I agree. Enough of Tyron Smith.
And then the last thing is obviously the season is over. So I guess the only thing left for me, who's been criticized for all my bad takes, is to call in every day and remind you guys I was 100% right about Joe Douglas. I was 100% right about Brock Bowers, and I was 150% right about Chef Caleb, the chef over in Chicago, who absolutely is terrible.
I mean, I don't know if you could say – hold on a second. Calm down. I don't know if you could sit here and say Caleb Williams is already a bust. That's not fair.
He hasn't scored a touchdown in a month.
Right, but the Bears are kind of the NFC Jets from a coaching standpoint, and how they never get it right with the right quarterback and offensive staff. I mean, I don't know if that's fair to write off Caleb Williams already. That's kind of crazy.
I didn't say he's Zach Wilson. I didn't say he's Kenny Pickett. I said he's a third-round pick, and that's kind of what he is.
We'll see. I really could give a crap on whatever Caleb Williams is. I mean,
I was criticized and mocked for that, and it was another.
Well, I mean, saying he was a third-round pick when everyone who follows football is telling you he's your top 3 pick in the draft is kind of crazy. Like, you're the guy who thinks he's a third-round pick.
Everyone else was wrong again. So,
also,
I mean, it's not that complicated.
Your point on Bowers, you've moved the goalposts. I never told you Brock Bowers wouldn't be good. I just thought it was too big of a risk to take in an all-in year when you're talking about an offensive line that led the NFL in injuries the last 2 years before the season. I wanted Olu. And from what I've seen,
Bowers is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber tight end day one.
Okay, great. And Olu, I think, is going to be this team's long-term left tackle and be really good. So I think we could end up looking at this draft being like they're both really good players, and the Jets took a premium position in an all-in year to have the ultimate depth, but the season has not gone the way any of us imagined it would go.
So you don't want to pay up on that bet yet, is what you're saying?
No, you're also the same guy. And Nate brings us up. They couldn't sign Reddick because they traded for Devontae. I mean, they literally the next day got Reddick done.
Worked out really well. That was a home run.
But you don't get to just bring you don't get to just bring up the things that you said that you're right about and then not acknowledge some of your other ridiculous takes as well.
Okay. All right, so they were able to sign. We didn't know how much Reddick wanted. He ended up taking less than he was holding out for, which made no sense. But you didn't know what he was asking for. It's like saying, I have enough money to buy all these groceries. Well, how much money do they cost? I don't know. It's like, well, how do you know you have enough money for it? It worked out that they could afford both, but you had no idea what Reddick was asking for. So how do you know you have enough money to sign all these guys?
I am very excited for this offseason as we break down options in the draft. I mean, I can't wait for some of your draft takes. Have you started the homework on the quarterbacks? We're gonna have you on for the quarterback evaluation.
So, yeah, no Quinn Ewers. I can tell you that.
How do you feel about Shedeur Sanders?
I like Cam Ward better. So if we're picking that high, I would take Cam Ward over him. I'm not that high. I don't think they're gonna suck. I don't think Sanders sucks. Like, you're not getting Kenny Pickett or Zach Wilson, but of the guys preliminarily, I like Cam Ward. That's the one guy I would say that guy's a first-round pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, quarterback evaluation is underway. And
so
Gary's the guy to
about
break
Caleb,
it down.
And everyone else was wrong, correct?
You were not.
No, he's good. He hasn't scored a touchdown in a month. The
Gary,
Bears haven't scored a touchdown on offense.
Did you think Peyton Manning was terrible when he led the NFL in interceptions as a rookie?
No, because he was second in the AFC in touchdown passes and led the AFC in yards. So I thought he was good because he had Pro Bowl numbers as a rookie. And that was like 25 years ago.
He threw like 27 picks. How did he have Pro Bowl numbers?
You guys, because of your fantasy football brain, get enamored with picks.
I'm not going to do the clapping seal part.
What do you mean?
I do want to, but I'm not going to do it because Gator's going to use it out of context, and then it's going to go viral, and then I'm going to have to look at it forever.
I can't. Look, I got no strong opinion, good or bad, on Caleb Williams. All right, he plays in the NFC, he plays for the Bears. But to say he's a bust already, and there's still 7 games left in his rookie year, is kind of crazy. You also are anti-Jaden Daniels because you're like, oh, he's thin, he's going to get hurt. I don't hear a peep about how great Jaden Daniels has been. I mean, I don't know, man. Whatever. We got plenty of time for Gary shenanigans in the offseason.
B-Mac.
Look at my TV.
B-Mac.
I love Aaron Rodgers. Jets. Go Jets. Hey Jake, good morning to you. I feel your pain, man. I don't know how you do it with this team. Every year, they get your hopes up, and then they get you, and then they just depress you the next week. So, I do got a question for you. Do you think with Rodgers' age, him being 40, he's not consistent no more the way he used to be when he was like 25 and 28? Like, because we've seen the flashes, we've seen that he still has it, but it's very like we can see it's not consistent. You know what I mean? And we were seeing that most of the season.
Yeah, I think he is nowhere close to what he once was. The consistency, I think, is a big sign of that. I also think for whatever reason, he's not processing as fast as he did. And I always thought his mind would allow him to still have a ton of success because he's seen everything. But it just feels like he's just a tick slow with even like getting the ball out at times and like identifying a guy open, and like he just had some uncharacteristic misses, and it's frustrating. I don't put it all on him, but he wasn't good yesterday. But he also was great in the second half against Houston, but he was awful in that first half. Like game to game, half to half, you no longer knowing what you're going to be getting from this guy. And I think the karma of the Jets has now engulfed Aaron Rodgers, and that just sucks.
I do think I kind of hate to say this, but I do think last year him getting hurt in 4 plays. I think that was truly was supposed to be the year, and I think him getting hurt in 4 plays is just messed up a ton. And I think now we've seen it. Do you think he still have a lot of juice left in the tank, or do you think he's just done?
I mean, define juice. Like, do I think he could still be a top 20 quarterback in the league? I still think he can. I think at times he's been that this year. Do I think he's ever capable of being a top 10 guy? I mean, probably not, based on what we've seen.
Well, that's it.
B-Mac.
Hey, you hater guy. Allen sucks and JJ can kiss my ass before I wipe.
Oro says, I told you 3 weeks ago season was over. Do you want a cookie? Gee, who could have said the Jets season was over 3 weeks ago when they were 2-5? Who could have saw that one coming? You are so smart, man. You are awesome. Congrats.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I mean, do you watch the show? I said they were done if they lose to the Steelers. I mean, I was just hoping they could delay the inevitable of just giving us some fake hope. And by the way, Nate said it 3 weeks ago and 1 day ago. So you take another fat L. Oro. Thanks for your super chat. I appreciate it. I'll ride the subway with it later today. Philly Noodle says, problem is what coach is going to tell Aaron what to do. Well, then Aaron won't be here because you're going to bring in a coach, and that coach, if he wants Aaron back, he'll have that conversation. Hey, this is the offense we're running. Your thoughts on it? Aaron's either on board or he'll retire. You're no longer deferring to Aaron. It was all about Aaron this year because you built the team around it. You built the infrastructure of the team around it. It was his offense. It was his coordinator. You tried it. It has not worked. Aaron knows. He said it before the year started. If we don't win, we're all out of here. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback here next year, though. I think he's retired or somewhere else. 2 more calls, and then we wrap up the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get the perspective from this guy.
It's time for V-Man to talk about Puerto Rico and his Puerto Rican roots.
Hey, Jake, what's up?
Hello, V-Man.
I'd say it was depressing to watch that game, but I was actually at an activist meeting that night, so I was spared the horrors of that game.
You were at an activist meeting?
Yeah.
Did they
Yeah,
ask
you
you
can
about
see.
the
Yeah, you
campaign?
can go see.
We now go live to our political expert,
None of
Vincent.
that.
You want to be a real political party, target areas where you can win. Until then, you're going to be the political clown show that every American and everyone on the left is going to laugh at. So, that's all.
Helping us change the world. Thank you, V-Man.
And no, not that guy was that. But my sister just launched it. My sister and her friends launched a Puerto Rican activist group, and I was at the launch party for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it ended with a punk show.
Did you sing?
No, I was watching. It's like you wouldn't understand it. 2 of the 3 songs were in Spanish, so you wouldn't understand a word. Well, also you wouldn't understand a word anyway. It's punk. They're literally just screaming into a mic, so it's very hard, very unintelligible.
Sounds exciting.
You know, but like going back to the Jets, it's just frustrating. No matter what this team does, it's like even though when it's a smart, it's like you can see the logic in the moves, but even when they have logic behind their moves, it still somehow just blows up in their face. This team is the embodiment of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it's just frustrating. And, it's like you don't know where to go. But like I do agree with the fact the coach they need a coach that's going to, instill discipline. They need that coach that's going to instill discipline and just get this team's head out of its proverbial rear end.
I agree, man. I agree.
Like, but who's that? But the question is, who is that coach going to be, though? Are you going to go down the route of the experience? You could try to get a Mike Vrabel in here. Are you going to go down the nostalgia train with Rex, or are you going to go try to grab that hot coordinator and Ben Johnson? If he's even going to leave, who knows what he's going to do?
Would you consider
it's
protesting
the
outside
whatever
of
they
one
do,
Jets drive?
you just need to get someone here that's going to. Damn, fucking internet crashed.
We now go live to our political expert, Vincent.
You're a political clown show. That's what you are. Have you ever seen a Green Party activist knock on your door? I haven't.
Helping us change the world. Thank you, V-Man.
Since V-Man's internet was acting up there, we'll just assume that's what he was like at his Puerto Rican activist meeting yesterday. Thank you for the call, V-Man. I agree. I mean, the coaching hire is the single most important decision this franchise will make this offseason. I think it's actually more important than the GM, at least in the immediate future. Because the coach could kind of change the culture. I think Douglas has provided a talented roster. But the coaching staff is a joke. And it got worse once Saleh was fired. Clearly it did. Now, I thought Saleh was going to get the Bills game. And if they won that game, who knows? But Woody did it at 2-3. He's wanted a spark. And as we've seen, that just doesn't really work in football. By the way, only the Jets, never even get the dead coach bounce, right? I mean, New Orleans even won yesterday. All these teams, they fire their coach. They always win that first game. The Jets, they lose in spectacular fashion, painful fashion to the Bills that Monday night. Oh, that was so bad. Albert. It's hard to fathom that the Jets could be more competitive and entertaining with Zach Wilson than with the legendary Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that team won 7 games. How many games is this team going to win? They're at 3 right now. There's 7 to go. Are they winning 7? And look, Zach Wilson is terrible. A couple things can be true here. Zach Wilson stinks, as do the 2024 Jets. But let's not have revisionist history that somehow it wasn't all Zach Wilson's fault. It was never one person's fault, but he was awful. He was a big part of it last year. But last year's team was way better defensively, and Greg Zuerlein didn't miss last year. He was automatic. How many games did he win a year ago versus this year where he's directly led to some losses? That's the big difference. The defense last year was an elite defense. This year, they're not. Rodgers has played better than Zach, though. It's not even close. And that's not to say Rodgers has played great. He hasn't. He's giving you some moments here or there. And even when he gave you the game-winning drive against New England, the defense then gags it up against Brissett. It really has been everything this year. Some weeks it's been the offense. Some weeks it's been the defense. Some weeks it's been the special teams. Sometimes it's been 2 of the 3. Sometimes it's been 1 of the 3, but the one is so costly. It's everything. One last call. Daniel will join us now. Daniel, how are the chickens?
They're so depressed, man. You can't even hear them doing the kikeriki. They're sad because the Jets lost, man. I mean, oh, god damn it. Fucking hurtful. And I just want to say to all the fans, I'm sorry because you as me suffer a lot when the team gives this poor performance. I didn't think that they will actually win, but it will be a close game, and it results that it was one of the worst games of the season. One thing that I want to say is Rodgers seems to be completely defeated. He wasn't even talking to his teammates about bring some fire up so they can make something out of nothing, I guess. And Sauce is way over his head, man. I don't know what's happening with him, but doing the thing with the Twitter stuff that you said about Simini, that's bad, man, because he doesn't have the right now to be answering this kind of comments or critiques to his play. So they're way over his head. And also, I don't want to start to think about who's going to be the next coach and who's going to be the next GM because there's 7 games left. So let's better try to put some rookies, try to develop the young guys, and also see who's going to be the next year here. Like Breeze, I really want Breeze to stay here. I really want Garrett Wilson to stay in the team. Sauce is an asset. I don't know if we are going to trade him or not, because at least you can have a 3rd round or a 2nd round. And about the contract of Aaron Rodgers, I want to play out his contract because it is too much money to just lose it. So if we trade a quarterback in the 1st round, I will be willing to put Rodgers as a starter so he can develop without the pressure that the New York is putting against a rookie, as we all know in the history that the rookie quarterbacks are just bad because all of the pressure of us, because we want to win, and we are probably I have my whole life wanting to see him win a Super Bowl, and we actually cannot do it. So one thing that I want to ask you is, who do you think it will be the better fit of our current roster for the next year? Who are going to be the players that you want to stay for the next season?
I mean, Garrett Wilson, for sure. I extend him. That he's like the only one I have to extend right now. I mean, they have a lot of free agents. You know, I'd bring back Morgan Moses. I would. He's tough. He's still playing pretty well. Sherwood, I'd probably bring back. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Like, there really isn't a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got some of the young guys still under contract. Like, there's still some talent here. Tippmann, John Simpson will be the left guard again next year, as he should. Olu will start at left tackle. Like, the O-line needs a couple pieces. I mean, AVT, like it or not, he's under contract. He'll be back. So, you know.
And do you think that those players can actually overcome the losing culture that we're having right now in the building?
No, unless they get better coaching. That's what it comes down to, Daniel. The Jets remind me of the Chargers from last year. Now they bring in a real coach. They're 6-3. Pittsburgh every year with less talent than this Jets team has a winning season every year. You know, I'm not trading Sauce, though. His value is so low right now. That wouldn't make any sense. I'm hoping a new coach could revitalize him and he can get back to being the first team All-Pro he was his first 2 years. They need better coaching, man. There's no accountability on this team. None. All you need to know is what Sauce is tweeting today. And I hated the way Corley, handled the moronic touchdown drop against Houston. Instead of owning it, he's like, well, I scored over 200 touchdowns in my career. Like, I'm not concerned about it. Like, nah, man, own it. Own it. No leadership on this team. None. All you need to know about this team is Devontae Adams, who at the time was a Jet for 5 minutes, is giving the post-game speech in the locker room about the team not having energy. Guy's been on the team for 5 minutes, and he recognized that. There's no heart, no leadership, and it all starts with coaching, man. They're terrible, man. I'm seeing some film Fialco's tweeting out. I just refreshed Twitter. Death taxes. Clemens cannot set the edge. Looking forward to tomorrow's film review. Yikes. Unreal. All right. 2-hour and 30-minute show. We'll be back 3:30. Will Parkinson will join us. Before we get out of here, another reminder. Please join the Patreon if you haven't. We're approaching 500 Patreon users. We'll do some giveaways for Patreon people once we get that 500 number. We'll do some giveaways for some merch and much more. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. You get the Discord access, name in the intro, bonus shows, and a whole lot more. Thank you to Joe B for joining the show. Thank you to all the Asmaniacs who continue to watch and support the channel. We're all in this together, Jet fans. Somehow, some way, we'll get through these final 7 games and get ready for the offseason. Or maybe they'll hire the right people for once. Now, wouldn't that be nice, huh? Wouldn't that be nice? Thank you all for your support. Go Jets, everybody. We'll talk to you in a bit. There were 2 listeners of mine who called WFAN asking 2 separate hosts if the Jets should take Knoble, and each host was like, they were stumped. They're like, I haven't done enough draft prep. I'm unaware. And they're reciting lines from the show.
John and Seaford, what's up, bud?
A lot of these Jet fans out there want Brock Bowers.
Yes, that is the sexy name surrounding the Jets.
I think the 3 options you go, O-line, receiver, or if Knoble out of college is there, you got to take Knoble. 5'7", 198, plays both sides of the ball. Not sure if you know him. Mel Kiper had him top 15 pick. What are your thoughts on Knoble?
I don't know him that well. I'll be totally honest with you. Bro, I got to do more draft prep. You said he plays both sides of the ball. Makes me think, who plays both sides of the ball in the NFL?